and gentlemen, let's go. Let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
55 yards away. Made a 62-yarder earlier this season. You've always thought he's one of the best. Gotta hook it. Gotta hook. No good.
How are you?
Not great, Bob.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Yeah.
All right, let's gather around. Come on in. Come on in, have a seat. There's the couch right there. Hope everything's been well. How are you? How are things at home with the family? They're good?
Sleep off, Jason. Sleep off.
They're good? Okay, that's good. Let's settle in.
Deep breaths.
And let's talk about it. Let's sit on the couch, lay down if that's where you feel comfortable. The Kleenex right next to you, just in case.
Thank you.
We've got you for the next 4 hours. Typically, we only have 1 hour sessions with you. But because of yesterday, we're going to go ahead and do this for 4 hours if you so choose. If you want to leave at any time, you certainly are welcome to leave.
Bye.
You are not obligated to be here, but let's talk. Let's go through this.
You meant the listeners.
I don't have to pay for the whole 4 hours, though, do I?
No, you don't. No, you don't. I'm going to give you 3 hours free. Typically, I will charge you for the hour session, though. You will get charged for the hour session. So let's talk about it. What's been going on in your life? Everything good at home? Okay, great. So what brings you in today?
Joe Burrow.
All right, 913-381-0810. Let's actually talk about it. 913-381-0810. Maybe it'll be therapeutic. Maybe it'll be therapeutic going through the Chiefs game. The Chiefs lost to the Bengals for the third time in 2022. Saying that for the third time in 2022, not thinking the day after the game I would be saying that. And for the third time in 2022 saying, the first time now in 2022 saying, the next time the Chiefs play the Bengals, I'm not going to pick the Chiefs. I am not going to pick the Chiefs. Don't care if the Chiefs are favored by 102. I will pick the Bengals to cover the spread by 102.5. They'll get a half point somewhere. Does not matter. There's something between the two teams. There's no other way. There's no getting around it. We can sit here and say, I think the Chiefs are better. And I felt that way the previous two times. I don't know that they are. I don't know that they're better than the Bengals because the better teams find ways to win and make plays. And the Chiefs are 0 for 3 in doing that against this Bengals team. And by the way, the issues from last year, the Bengals team this year is better than last year's Bengals team. That is a better team on the field that the Chiefs played yesterday than was on the field last year in the two times they played. So they got you when you had a real advantage, and now they're close to square. If not, again, passed. But they'd have to do it in the playoffs again because as it stands right now, Chiefs have the better record and would have a home game if these two teams were to match up in the playoffs. They no longer have the number one seed. They are no longer the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl or the AFC. And Patrick Mahomes is no longer the heavy favorite to be the MVP. He went from minus 190 2 weeks ago. He is now plus 125 to Jalen Hurts plus 175. It's a two-horse race. Two-horse race?
It might be a one-hearse race.
True. Two-horse race for the MVP with Mahomes and Hurts, and the Bills and the Eagles move ahead of the Chiefs for betting favorite. All that matters none. That matters none for what happened yesterday and what then happens moving forward if the Chiefs were to be in Phoenix to win the Super Bowl. If the Chiefs were to be the number one seed with the last 5 games to go. So we'll gather around. We'll talk about it. 913-381-0810 is the phone number. 913-912-4810. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us as well. Not therapeutic for K-State in their Big 12 championship. There is no therapy needed. There's just jubilation and excitement and elation that Chris Kleiman has won the Big 12 in year 3, and they are going to be playing in the Sugar Bowl against Alabama. We want Bama! We want them! Bring on Bama! We want Bama! Now, I do want to offer today, just so on December 5th at 10:10, December 5th at 10:10, I can be the first to tell you on December 31st, New Year's Eve, roughly 3 o'clock, because the game starts at 11, bowl game, we're going to give it a full 4 hours. Roughly 3 o'clock, New Year's Eve. If K-State wins, Alabama didn't really want to be there because they wanted to play for the playoff. And when you got guys that are opting out and going pro, there's a lot of guys that got them there that are good enough to win that game, but they weren't playing. So you're really playing with inferior opponents. And K-State had a number of guys return, blah, blah, blah. If K-State loses and Alabama wins, the SEC is clearly superior to the Big 12. It's another data point there as to why the SEC is better than the Big 12. And it proves yet again that Alabama was disrespected and should have been in the playoffs. And a team that beat TCU then got beat by Alabama, just simply saying, transitive property, Alabama's better than TCU. They should not have been there. So that took 1 minute to go ahead and tell you what the post reaction is going to be on December 31st. You're welcome. Now let's have fun in playing the game. So let's see what actually happens. Bowl games are announced. There's a basketball game coming up on Saturday. Dominic Lovett is dropping nuts, and there are some other things going on in around the NFL. Jimmy Garoppolo is out for the year. Brock Purdy, Iowa State, Cyclone. Where you at, Ames? Huh? Hilton Magic? For San Francisco, he's filled with confidence. Full of confidence, he said, Brock Purdy, that he can lead this team and step in for Jimmy G. He did it against the Dolphins, helped out with the 49ers defense. So Tua leaves that game injured. Well, they come out of that game with Tua being banged up. Jimmy Garoppolo literally leaves the game injured and is out for the year. Lamar Jackson leaves the game against the Broncos early. And the word out of Baltimore is they don't think it's season ending. Which means they think it's pretty serious that would even be a question, and he's going to be out for a few weeks. What did Harbaugh call it? Days to weeks? Day to day, week to week is what they're going with Lamar Jackson. So he won't be playing in the next couple of weeks, I would not expect. So there are some things that have taken place this weekend, a lot of things that have taken place this weekend that either directly or indirectly affect and impact the area here in the sports world. And the scenario now moving forward for the Chiefs, for K-State, KU, Mizzou, for the Chiefs moving forward is Bengals and Chiefs win out. Chiefs are the number 1 seed. There you go. It's going to be hard rooting for Cincinnati to play, against Buffalo. I will do it. I won't be happy about it. I will be goose if Maverick were to die in Top Gun, and I would go and fly. I wouldn't be happy about it. I wouldn't like it, but I'd do it. Meg Ryan told Maverick that if Goose was here, if you weren't there, he'd fly. He wouldn't be happy about it, but he'd still fly. You got to go fly, Maverick. Not going to be happy about it, but I'm going to do it because, it's unless, of course, Buffalo loses before that. Then, they can tie. They can both lose. I'm not sure what happens. We'll see.
Jets, Dolphins, Bears, Bengals, Patriots. The rest of the way for the Bills. There's some good teams in there, and I hate that we're talking about another team's schedule. I hate it. We shouldn't have to be doing this.
You know what? Here's what's amazing about this season and the twists and turns that they have taken. Again, 913-381-810 full board. We will get to your phone calls. I want to get to them soon because we'll be breaking down this game a lot throughout the week.
We'll be having breakdowns a lot throughout the week.
See, and I don't think that's the odd part about this year. I'm trying to find my I've got all these papers. I've got these papers here. I've got all these papers, and I need one paper in all these papers here, and then I'm trying to look for one paper out of my papers.
There's actually still bark on the end of one of those. You got a whole tree just felled in front of you.
Got a lot of scratch pieces of paper. Some of them I should throw away by now, but I'm a hoarder.
Save a tree, write a Google Doc.
That's right. No, see, that's the thing. Here it is, found it. I had them losing to the Bengals at the beginning of the year for the game. That's all I wanted to say.
There is a huge coffee stain in the corner.
That's
It is a printed out like
been
Excel
here.
sheet, then
Been here
pinned
since,
on.
I wish I would have put the date on when I printed this. Probably the day after the schedule was released.
That's so good.
This coffee stain was I remember that day.
Can I see that? Can I see that real quick, Jason? Do you mind if I? Because I think if I.
Don't you?
Yeah, no. Look at this. The map for the Declaration of Independence back here. Look at that.
Kidding me?
Unbelievable.
Where's the black light? Put the black light.
I'll go get that. Hold on.
It's right there.
Yeah, look at that right there. It's the Knights Templar logo.
The secret lies with Charlotte. It says it right there. Wow, who'd have thought?
So
I knew
you
you
think
had
they
good
should
stuff.
bring in Baker Mayfield?
That's what I'm saying.
Have you seen my stat, Jason?
No.
Have you seen my stat?
No. I had them going 12-5. So here's the craziness about this season. I had them going 12-5. I thought they would lose to Cincinnati, and I thought they would lose to L.A. in the second half of the season. I had them 4-3 going into the bye, 8-2 coming out of it, the last 10 games. Sitting there 12-5. They can now be 14-3. And yet sitting here right now, part of that would feel like a disappointment. They have beaten the Chargers twice. They went to Tampa and won. They dominated and punked the Arizona Cardinals. They went to San Francisco and dominated that game. They got by Tennessee. LA wasn't close. Rams, that is. Of course, we didn't know that it would be Perkins playing and not Stafford. And the Bengals were a loss. I had them winning the last 5 games. So we'll see what happens the rest of the way. But if they finish 14-3, there is no way. Even if the Bills finish 14-3, I don't care if they lost to the Bengals, the Bills, the Colts, or the Institute of No Thumbs. If this team is 14-3, that is a better season than I thought they would have. And I am not trying to package it or put lipstick on a pig. I am trying to bring perspective that this team, for all of the ups and downs and where we were when Tyreek Hill was traded and what this season was going to be and taking a step back, and I don't know many people that had them 14-3. Yesterday was incredibly disappointing because expectations can change throughout the year. And while they can change, and I had them winning yesterday, and I think they had plays that they could have made, should have made, and it is now 0-3 in saying that about the Bengals games. This is still a team that has a chance to be the number 1 seed and get another shot at Cincinnati in the playoffs, whether you want that or not. Here's the thing. If the Chiefs are going to be playing in Phoenix this year, they're probably going to have to beat either the Bills or the Bengals and maybe both. That's just reality. And if the Bills want to be playing in Phoenix, they're probably going to have to beat the Bengals and the Chiefs or one of them in the playoffs. And if Cincinnati wants to go to Phoenix, they're probably going to have to beat the Bills or the Chiefs or both of them in the playoffs. I feel like it is these 3 teams, especially with Miami getting exposed there in San Francisco when they knocked Jimmy G out of the game and they still can't find a way and go and win that one, and Lamar Jackson being out a few weeks. There is a gap. So you're going to have to get answers in the playoffs. Both of these teams are. Cincinnati comes away from that game feeling good, feeling themselves as they should, tweeting, talking after the game. They should. They won. They're 3-0. But there's not a coach in there that goes, if we face the Chiefs again in the playoffs, we're good. We're good. We beat them 3 times. We're fine. Oh, give me the Chiefs in the playoffs. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that about the Chiefs. So this is still a team that is one of 3 in the AFC that would be the most likely to win the Lamar Hunt Trophy. But it is also a team that lost the other 2. The other 2 we're talking about, they have already lost to them. In games where you say, boy, a play here, a play there. Boy, just find a way to win. Just find a way to come to, if you could have done this, a decision here, a decision there. And they didn't. They didn't get it done against the Bills, and they didn't get it done against the Bengals. I don't think there is a player, except maybe Tommy Townsend, that you can look at and go, I don't think they did anything wrong yesterday. I think they had a pretty damn good game. Even on the hold and the spin to try to get it to where the laces were out, even on that, because that's where Winchester loses because it was a bad snap. Not that it would have mattered, because had they made the field goal, we'd be talking about a 30-27 loss right now.
That's generous. It might have been
Oh,
34-27.
No, I think they would have got down,
You're right.
taken knees.
You're right.
McPherson kicked it through the up just like they did in Cincinnati last year.
No, you're
I
right.
think it'd have been the same thing.
The Chiefs would not have touched the ball again.
Would have been the exact same thing. Make the field goal, don't make the field goal, they lose by 3. Butker making it, not making it, to me was immaterial. When they trotted Butker out there, actually, when Kelsey fumbled the ball, I writing down on my phone the notes. Chiefs are losing. Hope I'm wrong. This has a bad feel. And it happened. 913-381-0810 is the phone number. Your quick takeaway, and then we'll get all of the finer points and hone in on a lot of things, like the third downs for Cincinnati that I did a deeper dive on. And one of the things that I came away from that I thought, boy, it seems like this is going on third downs for Cincinnati. And then I went back and watched the condensed game. Just those. I haven't watched the whole condensed game. I'll do that probably tonight. But just those third downs specifically, and actually saw something that I found was fascinating in comparison to the Chiefs. So we'll get into things like that, but your general takeaway, and then we'll get to phone calls that are on hold.
I talked plenty last night, and also, last week we said on Monday we were deciding that we were done talking about the Rams. We're going to start talking about the Bengals. I don't know if everybody's got this in mind, but this week's game was the flexed out of primetime Chiefs-Broncos game.
That's right.
So we might be talking about the Bengals this upcoming Friday. This is going to be the inverse of last week, where there's going to be plenty to take away.
Well, when is the next time that we look at it and talk about an opponent and break it down and what it means for the Chiefs specifically?
The first round of the playoffs that they play in.
Honestly.
Legitimately.
Unless the Bills lose somewhere along the way and the Chiefs are getting ready for, let's say, January 1st, New Year's Day against the Broncos, and the Bills have lost.
Right.
At that point, we go, let's break down. They beat the Broncos, they beat the Raiders. Let's talk about it. What happens? How do they do it? All of those things.
But in terms of teams that you are more interested in to see how the Chiefs perform, there's not another one of those teams the rest of the way, which is a good thing for their record, hopefully. It's a strange thing for what we're talking about, where the last meaningful taste in our mouth from this regular season is going to be what we saw last night. They can quell some fears against the rest of these teams, but controlling the rest of their season, the seeding is the only thing that matters. They could win all these games 45-0, and I'd feel a little bit better. But if you told me the Chiefs and Bengals were meeting up in the second round of the playoffs after the Chiefs finished the year on a 45-0 run, I'd still have a little bit of that feeling in the pit of my stomach of, oh no, well, what if that was all fraudulent? And that's something that the Bengals had not offered to me before, watching the Chiefs. We talked so much last week about how it really kind of felt like, not just we thought this, but the Chiefs felt like, us as well, but the Chiefs felt like, hey, we lost to that team in the AFC Championship game because we gave them the worst half of football we've played since Patrick Mahomes came to town. And that wasn't the case last night. The Chiefs played okay across the board. Now, to your point, I think every guy, except for I would be willing to offer Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon a little diplomatic immunity, but literally everybody else, and I'm sure those guys you could nitpick, everybody had a hand in the blame.
There was one play where McKinnon just got beat by a blitz. Went to go pick up pass pro and just missed.
And I'm sure that happened somewhere with Pacheco. Right. Those guys had juice with the ball in their hand, which was like a miracle to see.
That is absolutely nitpicking.
The nitpickiest.
That is throwing the baby out with the bathwater to say that everybody is the same. And I want to say everybody's the same, so I'm going to include Jerick McKinnon in this because of the one play I saw where he whiffed on pass protection on a blitz.
And for the larger message of this game, I think that's totally fair because I'll do the inverse. You know who's going to get ripped all day? The pass rush. They bothered Joe Burrow a decent amount in that game. They never finished. The offensive line protecting Patrick Mahomes, they're going to get killed all week because in pass pro, they were a mess. The running game looked maybe as good as it's looked all year. They were doing some things in run blocking. Yeah. Everybody in this game gets a little share of the credit for it being close, and everybody gets a little blame for never being the guy or the unit that made the clutch play when you needed to have something. I love Chris Jones. I will be the Chris Jones advocate as long as anyone lets me. He was getting double-teamed all day. He was getting every bit of attention that the Bengals could possibly throw at him. He is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Would have been cool for him to punctuate his DPOY campaign with a sack off the edge in the fourth quarter. He's tremendous. He's the least of this defense's problems, but he did not make the play that turns the tides. That's what is frustrating in this game, and frankly, for the first time, the thing that I am a little bit worried about with this Chiefs team because they didn't shoot themselves in the foot predominantly in this game. Good defensive play to strip Travis Kelce. By the end, he was trying to go down to the ground, and they got the ball out. I'm not going to sit here and be pissed at Travis Kelce all day, but I will look around and realize, the Chiefs didn't have the juice to get over the top, and they made just enough mistakes for a really legitimately non-fluky good Bengals team to continue to get to point up and say scoreboard. So it's multifaceted, but it's also kind of simple.
Let's get to the phone lines, 913-381-0810. Tracy leads us off here on this Monday edition of the show. Tracy, go right ahead. What is on your mind?
Good morning, sir. I just listened to Mr. Briscoe's opening monologue, and I wanted to tell him that I am not frustrated with Mr. Jones. I'm a little bit frustrated with Mr. Mahomes because if you look at that third down play, Mr. Anderson, before they kicked the field goal, he had a man wide open in the flat. Number one was wide open. He was easily beyond the yard to gain for the first down. And for some reason, Pat tried to be spectacular. He tried to be the hero like he always does, in my opinion. And I don't know who the hell he was throwing the ball downfield to, but he had a man wide open in the flat. No one was within 10 yards of him. And then my comment is that I don't know if you guys picked this up, man, or not, but the sideline reporter, Tracy Wilson, I think that is her name.
Yes.
She reported that he called all the offensive linemen over, but we didn't see it on TV, so I can't confirm this. But I heard it again this morning on the NFL Network. He chewed his offensive linemen out. For what? For what? Because Joe Tooney was out, and Joe Tooney's man, whoever was taking his place, was getting beat all day long. The offensive line was terrible. And so I don't know why Mahomes feel like that he has to call his players out again. He missed the open man. Who is number one? Because there was no one close to that dude. That could have been an easy first down. And then he's frustrated with Mahomes. Mahomes is frustrated with the head coach because he wanted to go for it on fourth down. When is this guy going to get it? It's not all about him. So I would listen to your comments off the air. Thank you.
Tracy, I appreciate the phone call, man. 913-381-0810. As we say, it didn't feel like anybody really had a clean sheet. Mahomes didn't have a clean sheet, even though he had one of the highlight reel plays of the season and the Air Mahomes. It sucks because it gets lost in the wash because they lost the game. If the Chiefs were to go down and score a touchdown on that drive, or if Kelce doesn't fumble and they score a touchdown on that drive, I think that play sort of solidifies Patrick Mahomes' MVP. But that's besides the point because I'd rather the Chiefs win the Super Bowl than Patrick Mahomes win the MVP. I think there's a difference between Patrick Mahomes challenging his offensive line on the sideline and then, quote, calling them out.
Yep. Calling
them out is in the postgame saying that I got to get protected. Protection's got to be better. That's calling them out. Whether it's I remember the report from Tracy Wolfson saying he was talking to the offensive line that they saw something, that there was something that he had noticed. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. The offensive line wasn't good yesterday when it comes to pass protection. The play that continues to stand out to me, and Tracy hit on it, is the 3rd down and 3 that he had Jerick McKinnon.
And he was working right to left. I'm sorry to cut you off. This is just good. Because Tracy's right about this one. I say this because I don't feel like I'm on the same speed as Patrick Mahomes very often, but real time watching it. We were watching from the sky. But yes, it's McKinnon. And you see him work right to left, and he eventually gets his head around. And I don't know where his eyes were, but at least his face mask was pointing towards Jerick McKinnon, and the first down was there. We could see it in real time.
He was 3 yards short of the first down. The nearest defender was 6 yards behind the first down marker because I went and paused it because they showed the behind the view from the end zone. Mahomes then rolls to his left. Once he gets pressure from the inside with Orlando Brown getting beat, shocker, and he rolls to his left, he's got McKinnon there. He's got him there. He can see him, and he can see the defender, 9-10 yards down the field from McKinnon. Even if McKinnon catches the ball and you say, well, he should be able to pick up the first down, what if he then makes that guy miss?
Yeah.
Because now he's running down the sideline.
Yeah.
The other frustrating part is I believe it was a touchdown to Juju Smith-Schuster if he wasn't tackled from behind. If you watch the replay from behind, as Mahomes is going down, you see him pull the ball back to throw it. Remember that play against the 49ers when Juju broke free and then ran down the field and scored a touchdown? Mm-hmm. That was the exact same thing that was happening. Juju broke off his route and was running to Mahomes' right. There was only one Bengal defender. He was in the end zone, and there was I think MVS down the field too. That was it. If Orlando Brown gets even a half second more of a block,
just loses to the outside even instead of getting beat inside,
Juju scores a touchdown.
Which is the quote-unquote excuse for not looking for McKinnon there. His eyes are downfield because that's usually there.
But
it's third down.
Third down and 3.
Yep.
You're down 3. Yep. You got to move the chains.
Yep.
Take what the defense is giving you. They were saying, we'll give you McKinnon. We will give you McKinnon. We're not going to get beat because guys weren't open. Guys got open after Mahomes then scrambled and then was running back up the middle is when Juju broke off his route, went the other way because everybody was flowing from right to left. Juju then stopped and flowed back across the stream and he was going to be wide open. And that's frustrating because there are so many of those plays on both sides of the football that ultimately we're talking about the Chiefs losing, that a second here, a second there, a half second on this, another yard here, the things could be different, but they're not. And we've said that 3 times now against the Bengals, whether it's between the ears, if it's from the chin to the hairline, as Spags likes to say, if it's from the hip to the neck, behind the breastplate, whatever it might be, against this team, they can't get it done. They can't get it done. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue with your phone calls. Also, text coming in, 913-3-810-810, 913-912-4810. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
We're in the pit of despair of the Chiefs.
I'm not. The pit of misery. Dilly. Sorry. I don't even like that commercial.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I feel like that DraftKings live read had a little bit of Chiefs execution from yesterday baked into it.
I could have coached you up better. I could have read it first. I could have highlighted some things.
I mean, maybe. But here's the thing is that, unlike the Chiefs defense, I felt a little pressure. I don't know why. I just felt the pressure there.
Sure.
But even just like Joe Burrow was able to escape at different times.
Joe Cool, you're not, though.
That is exactly right. 913-381-0810. Logan next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Logan, go right ahead. What is on your mind?
Hey, Jason. Great to talk to you guys. First off, I got to ask you, Jason, since Brisco has become your co-host, has he convinced you to pick up a Nintendo Switch and start playing some Pokemon?
He hasn't.
I've tried, though.
He has attempted to do that, but I gave up video games in 2004. I don't think I'm going back to them now.
Man, you almost had the almost entirely sports audience to grip on, but we'll keep trying.
I brought in that audience by Brisco. I'm not trying to then join that. Brisco's already.
We'll get you a VR headset or something.
Right?
I mean, we're going to make this work for you, Jason.
Yes.
Fair enough.
I got Brisco for the youth, and I'm taking care of the suburban housewives.
Whoa! You're what now?
So now we're getting we're getting everything taken care of, so we can win this election. That's why I chose Brisco for my running mate. He gets the youth, I get the suburban housewives.
Good.
We're good.
That's pretty good.
Hey, question for you. So against elite teams, I feel like this defense has really struggled. Do you think it's more just execution, or do you think Spags just struggles in these big games? I mean, it feels like anytime we're playing the Ravens, Bills, Bengals, it just feels like the defense always seems to be lacking something. And I don't know if it's execution, I don't know if it's scheming. What do you think?
Well, I mean, and Logan, I appreciate the phone call. I was thinking about this last night and a little bit this morning and trying to put my finger on what that might be. I think this team is built to play with a lead. I think they can win from coming from behind. I think they can win in a back-and-forth game. I think they can win by jumping out to a quick lead. What has happened in some of the games that we've seen with Buffalo and even, Tennessee, but Malik Willis was in that game, and not Ryan Tannehill. And then Cincinnati, that in those closer matchups, getting that one stop didn't happen. Getting the one stop against Cincinnati last year didn't happen. Hell, getting the stop against Buffalo in the divisional round didn't happen. Getting that stop against Buffalo on October 16th this year didn't happen. Getting the stop yesterday didn't happen. The last 3 drives for the Bengals went 70 yards, 57, 62, 63. The only one that did not score was before half that went 70 yards, and that was because on 4th down and a half yard, they decided to hand off instead of just QB sneaking with Joe Burrow. And I know it goes down as Joe Burrow quarterback sneak on 3rd down and 1, no gain, but that was 3rd down and 1 Joe Burrow half yard. Mm-hmm. You needed a half yard. I wanted them to hand off and not quarterback sneak with Joe Burrow. And they did. It was a great play by Carlos Dunlap. Dumb by Zach Taylor getting too cute. That's the only drive they didn't give up points. They gave up points, field goal, and then touchdown. The other ones. And end of game. I shouldn't say those were the 4 leading up to the decision by Andy Reid to kick the field goal. The last drive, they also picked up 39 yards to run out the clock. But when he decided to kick the field goal, their previous 4 drives were 70, 57, 62, 63. What did you think they were going to do? Your defense wasn't stopping them in the second half. Sorry. So I don't know if it is back and forth games against premier teams that have good players and the defense isn't coming up with stops. That seems pretty self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. It's premier teams. These are the top teams in the league. You've lost them because your offense didn't do enough in the second half, in the fourth quarter, and your defense couldn't get a stop to get the ball back or keep the other team out of the end zone or, off the board at all.
Yeah. On scheme versus talent, I think this isn't a foolproof measure, but I think generally if you look and you see guys in the right position but fail to make the play, that's talent. If you see guys out of position, that can be coaching. And last night, there were a lot of plays where the Chiefs had position and didn't execute, which is why I lean much closer to, hey, this team isn't fast or physical enough. This isn't a good enough tackling team. Not that Steve Spagnuolo left a lot of meat on the bone. I mean, his blitzes weren't landing. That also can be a talent thing. But I lean towards talent and execution over coaching and schematics for what happened defensively yesterday.
Chiefs have put pressure on quarterbacks just under 26% all season long, weeks 1 through 12. They pressured Joe Burrow 15.6% yesterday. Season low. Season low pressures. And against the blitz, Joe Burrow was the highest graded quarterback this season at a 99.3 out of 100 against the blitz yesterday against the Chiefs. The highest graded PFF quarterback this season against the blitz, 99.3 yesterday.
Which, again, out of 100.
Yep.
PFF grade.
What I want to know is what the hell
blitz.
happened on the .7.
Yeah, I mean, he must have been over to, like, tie his shoes, and then is that when George Karlaftis got him? I don't know if that was on a blitz. I don't
know either.
I don't remember.
My God,
I'm not sure.
those
Those numbers are startling.
Yeah,
it's startling.
It's bad. Another one that's sort of annoying, and then we'll take some more phone calls on the pass rush. Since the start of the playoffs last year, the Bengals have played 14 games against teams not named Kansas City.
Yep.
3 times of those 14, they have given up less than 2 sacks. That means Burrow sacked either 0 or 1 times. They have played the Chiefs twice, and both times, Chiefs have only got them 1 time. So, 5 times the Bengals, since the start of the playoffs last year, have had a game where they've only had 1 sack or fewer, 2 of them against the Chiefs. 12 of 14 against other teams, they've had 2 or more.
This is a point that Logan made on postgame last night that I wrote down and put in bold because I knew I'd be stealing it all week. The Chiefs couldn't take advantage of the Bengals' biggest weakness. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That is a stupendous problem. 1 sack in 8 quarters against Joe Burrow. The offensive line that they retooled this offseason that was a problem in the playoffs last year until the Chiefs got to town. And then here yesterday, an offensive line that had still gotten Joe Burrow sacked top. I think we looked it up on postgame last night. 3rd or 4th in football for sacks taken this year.
Mm-hmm. Now, 13 of those were in weeks 1 and 2 combined, 7 and 6. So
that's fair.
It's gotten better.
It has gotten better.
And in all fairness, last week the Titans sacked him 1 time as well. So it's back-to-back weeks, a total of 2 sacks for Joe Burrow. That's why I think this Bengals team is better than a year ago. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're right, and it has been improving. But that is still the way. That is you're not going to win your matchups against their wide receivers, and they can run the ball pretty effectively. The way to bother the Bengals is to just try to get home with anybody, and the Chiefs couldn't consistently yesterday.
Told everybody I don't like Samaje Perine. I'd rather Joe Mixon be in the game.
I think both of them would have had a lovely outings.
I don't think much of Joe Mixon.
I picked up on that. I'm not sure why you don't. I've always liked Joe Mixon, so I don't know why.
On the field specifically and only, I don't think much of Joe Mixon. I don't think Joe Mixon catches the ball on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then picks up 12 yards, including Nick Bolton hitting him 4 yards short of the first down and picks up the first down. I don't think Joe Mixon does that. I think Samaje Perine does that, which is why I said all week I would rather Joe Mixon play because I don't think he's better than Samaje Perine, personally. I know we need to break, but we've got a few callers that have been waiting a very long time. So let's sneak in George, and then we'll get to Rev and Ted on the other side of the break because they've been waiting a very long time. George, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Gentlemen, there's a game that was on at 7 o'clock last night that the Chiefs might want to look at during their free time.
Get your propaganda out of here, George. I don't have time for this.
Is George a Cowboy fan?
George is a Cowboys fan.
Oh, get out of here, George.
There was a soundbite you might want to also find. Way back during the Olympics, Nancy Kerrigan was attacked by Tanya Harding, and she was on the ground wailing away with the word why.
Mm-hmm.
Why, guys? What is the deal with going away from fundamentals? Block, tackle, read the defense, take the 3 yards when they're given to you, move closer to kick a field goal, quit the penalties. 14-3 isn't going to be a bad record, but 14-3 without lack of discipline is a horrible way to start the playoffs.
Yeah. George, I appreciate the phone call, man. 913-381-0810. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Text comes in, says, one positive of not stopping Joe Burrow is didn't muff any punts. # silver linings. God. You know what? Look, that is a positivity Monday. That's what that is. Let's get the week started off right. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810.
What if your health insurance is keeping you from your doctor? Have you ever thought that insurance might be the reason? This is Dr. Troy Burns with Pro Partners Healthcare, and as a primary care physician in Kansas City for over 35 years, I can tell you the middleman of health insurance makes it nearly impossible for your doctor to be available when you really need them. Insurance makes care more expensive and less accessible. Pro Partners is a different kind of family medical practice that guarantees direct access to your personal...
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Stop saying but. I just told you the clock was running and we had a penalty. You want to give them the ball back? No. You don't play. You don't know it. That's just plain and simple.
Were you happy with that drive?
Was I happy with the drive? No, we didn't score points. It's the dumbest question you could ask. What?
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Jesus, Johnny.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. A lot of texts we got to get to as well. 913-912-4810. Let's bring in Rev to the conversation right now on Sports Radio 810 WHB on this Monday. Rev, go right ahead. What is on your mind?
Listen, man. Thanks for taking my call. We can blame everybody for that loss yesterday, from the coaches on down. But I think the defense gets a bad rap. If you look back, they sacked Burrow all last year, and he winded up in the Super Bowl. You know, sacks are important, pass rush is important, but I think the offense put the defense in a bad position. And then if you look back on this year, they stacked the deck on the Kansas City Chiefs every year when they schedule it. And if you look up, like he was saying, you think it's between three teams, Jason. If you look up, we beat some good teams with that defense. So I think when they playing good, we don't say anything, But then when they lose, and then I think the media, real quick, is pumping Joe Burrow up. And some of the commentators are doing it too, to be some type of guy that can beat the Chiefs, and they only lost by 3 points. And until he wins the Super Bowl, he's still just going to be Joe Burrow. So I'll listen off the air. And then I think also one other thing is it's kind of hard to beat the referees and the players, man. Some referees call some bad plays.
Rev, I appreciate the phone call, man. 913-381-810 is the phone number. And, yeah, everyone can take a piece of the pie here in getting the blame. And when you lose, there are frustrations on both sides. And when you don't get a stop either of the final two drives, a lot of it can go to the defense. Did the offense hurt the defense and put them in a bad spot? Yeah, they're up 24-20. They could have controlled the game. They fumbled the ball. Defense could have got off the field or even forced a field goal. Because it wasn't like it was late in the game to where the Bengals were, touchdown or bust, down 4. If it's 3rd and long or 4th and long, they would have had to kick a field goal because there was still time left to go. The Chiefs were down by 3 with like 7 minutes to go, 8 minutes to go in the game when they got the ball back. So it wasn't late in the game. The Bengals could have kicked a field goal there. Didn't need to kick a field goal because they scored a touchdown. Some other things I want to get into what he was talking about. More Zone next.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
My texts are read so often, I'm thinking of signing them as show contributor.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Hanging out on this Monday edition. We get back to the phone lines, 913-810-810. When Rev was talking about the defense, that, hey, when they play well, nobody talks about them. When they, struggle, then they're the biggest issue on this team. Well, when you can't pressure Burrow, it's going to be an issue. When you're talking about the teams that are going to be the biggest contenders for you to lose in the playoffs, to not make the Super Bowl, because this is what this season is about. It's about making the Super Bowl. It's about winning the AFC. That's what the Chiefs have done in raising expectations. So the players for the Chiefs can get all mad all they want after the game is over. Juan Thornhill can get upset and go to Twitter. Colin Saunders can get upset and go to Twitter. Do you want to be on a championship team or not? Do you want to play at a level? Because I guarantee you, no matter what fan base you go to, if you lose that game, there are going to be frustrated fans. Now, some of them are out of line. Every single fan base has that. But when you play, I don't know how many Chiefs players were mad about Twitter when they were winning 2 games. I don't know. Maybe it became crazy toxic that fire everybody. I don't know. It was mainly the coaches that people were upset about and the GM and all that stuff. But when you've got high-level expectations against a team where you were literally the only underdog or favorite to lose yesterday. Do you know that? Every single favorite won or tied with the Commanders. They were 2.5-point favorites. Some dogs covered, but only one underdog won yesterday. That was the Bengals. It's kind of hard for you to then get mad at the fans for their frustrations. We know you're frustrated. Fans know you're frustrated. Everybody knows you're frustrated. But you don't hold the monopoly on being frustrated, all right? You don't get to be the only ones that everybody else is invested. You invest your career, no doubt. And you get paid a handsome amount of money to play that. Chiefs fans invest their money and time. They are giving up money in being a fan of the Chiefs. You are getting lots of money in being a player for the Chiefs. So I get it. It is your livelihood. You are frustrated. It is also a fan base that is very much bought in and ingrained in the community and part of, the way you your self-identity. Mm-hmm. It's like, who are you? Well, I'm father, husband, big Chiefs fan, root for other. It's part of the way you describe yourself, okay? So fans get frustrated. And the defense, yes, when they don't play well, they get criticized. When they play well, they get their flowers. When Patrick Mahomes plays well, he gets flowers. When he doesn't play well, we criticize him. 3rd and 3. You got to pick up the first down. There were other times in the game where the underneath was there and he didn't take it. It happens. We know that with Mahomes. I'll take that given what everything else that comes with him. All right? If he was Baker Mayfield and didn't take the underneath, yeah, I'm a little annoyed that he's not taking those easy passes. But he's not. He's Patrick Mahomes, and it comes with that part of the territory. But what is inexcusable is when it's 3rd down and 5, and you have to get the ball back. You're down by 3. There's 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go, and you are out of timeouts. You have already used your third one. It is 3rd and 5. And Jamar Chase catches the ball 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's got to run 7. You got 4 defenders and 2 blockers. And Josh Williams immediately runs inside of T. Higgins. Higgins just simply pushes him to the inside. Juan Thornhill has the pursuit angle on him, on Chase, with McDuffie to his inside. And all Chase does is give a small little stutter, and Juan Thornhill then overreacts to his inside, where he's got McDuffie and Willie Gay coming in pursuit, and gives up the outside. The outside is then open because, as I said, the first move from Josh Williams was to go inside the blocker instead of saying, well, I've got Snead to my right, I've got Juan to my right, I've got McDuffie to my right. I got to make sure he can't get outside me. Rookie mistake, growing pains. Guarantee you Steve Spagnuolo and Dave Merritt and those guys are going over that today or tomorrow.
Josh Williams tweeted about 45 minutes ago, that one's on me. About just, I think, the game in general. Oh. That's on me, got to do better.
You know what, that 3rd down and 11, that's that ain't on Josh Williams.
No, he's not correct, but everyone on the team thinks that right now because everyone can claim a little bit of it.
But to me, that Jamar Chase play is more Juan Thornhill than Joshua Williams.
Yes, I agree.
Because Juan Thornhill had, again, McDuffie to his inside and pursuit with Willie Gay, and he overreacted to a small stutter of Jamar Chase. Also, to be fair, too, if Josh Williams takes an outside angle to Higgins, Jamar Chase can get around Juan Thornhill, but he has to then cut inside, which McDuffie is there. As soon as Higgins was pushing Chase inside, McDuffie had to go outside or underneath. It's kind of like you go underneath a screen in basketball. He had to go underneath them to meet Jamar Chase at the 1st down marker. If Chase has to cut inside, McDuffie meets him about 3 or 4 yards short. Either they go for it on 4th down, they pick it up, and we're still talking about a loss, or they kick the field goal, and we're talking about whatever happened when they were down 30-24 with 2.5 minutes to play and get the ball back. I don't know. Let's bring in Ted to the conversation, 913-381-810-810. Ted, go right ahead. Thank you so much for waiting, sir. Floor is yours.
Hey, thanks for taking the call. You know, I think Colin Saunders it might be better for him to get mad and get to the weight room because the front 4 or the front 7 got worked and got manhandled, and that's what's scary. And on that's on the defensive side. On the offensive side, I'm going to disagree a little bit with everybody in regards to the outlet.
McKinnon.
Yeah. McKinnon. What I didn't like was how much time was left on the clock and the fact that the 1st down should have been the most important thing. And they're dropping 8, and we ran other than McKinnon, we ran deeper routes. And so you made the decision with the play call on 3rd down that we're going to get a big play here or we're going to kick a field goal. And it should have been we got 2 downs to get a 1st down.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking time and score, with 3 minutes left, the way your defense was playing, you were going to try to make a big play and score fast and turn the ball back over to them. I just agree. I thought that the coaching staff on the play call on 3rd down and the decision to kick the field goal was very conservative and a big mistake.
Ted, I appreciate the phone call. Let's talk about that.
God bless you, Ted.
Let's talk about 3rd and 3. And also 4th and 5. There are so many different facets of 3rd and 3 that are analyzation worth? Worthy of analyzing? Probably a better way to put it.
I'll work on it. No, I like your work on it.
Let's talk about 3rd and 3 specifically. Before we even get into what Patrick Mahomes, the decision to look past McKinnon, Orlando Brown getting beat when they were only bringing 3. Mahomes getting tackled right as his arm is going in, cocking back to hit Juju Smith-Schuster, which I believe would have been a touchdown. If you see the end zone view where Juju was, he was 3 steps ahead of the defender that was just stopping to turn, and the only person on that entire side of the field was a defender in the end zone with MVS, and Juju would have caught the ball around the 20-yard line or so, and I think ran into the end zone.
Could have tiptoed on the hash marks.
So I think it would have been a touchdown. Yeah. So before we get into all of that, with 12:07 to play in the 3rd quarter, the Chiefs' first drive of the 3rd quarter, down 14-10. They get down to the 14-yard line. It's 1st down and 10. McKinnon runs for 6 yards. 2nd down and 4 from the Cincinnati 8. Patrick Mahomes incomplete. 3rd down and 4 from the Cincinnati 8. Pacheco, 8-yard touchdown. I tweeted out after that play, and I said something to the effect of, that is a, quote, stick to the script, quote, stay disciplined play call of 3rd down and 4 at the 8-yard line that Cincinnati is going to play everybody back in the end zone. Go run it right at them. You don't have to score a touchdown to pick up the 1st down. And if you pick up 2 or 3 yards, you go for it again. on 4th down and 1 or 2 at the 6 or the 5-yard line. 3rd and 3 in that spot was a I can't help myself play. They dropped 8. You stuck to the script and you stayed disciplined to start the third quarter when you had a lot of time to play. When it came nut-cutting time, rubber meeting the road, you couldn't help yourself to hand it off when they were only bringing 3 guys on 3rd and 3. And to say, this is also a 2 down, 3 yards to get, just as the 3rd and 4 from the 8 is 2 downs to pick up 4 yards, so we'll run it. And you had been running the ball effectively. They ran the ball twice on 3rd down. They scored a touchdown and picked up a 1st down. And on 3rd and 3, they threw it. And I believe if Mahomes hadn't got sacked and wasn't hobbled, I do think they were viewing that as a 2 down to pick up 3 yards. I don't think Andy Reid was looking at 3rd and 3 going, we'll give it a shot, big play. If not, let's kick the field goal. I don't think that was the thought process. I think the thought process was, we've got 2 plays to pick up 3 yards, and we'll do it on 4th and 3. That's what I believe. I have no idea if that is true. But I would have liked to have seen them. I was sitting there watching, and I'm like, give the ball to McKinnon. Hand it off, run it down their bleeping throats, pick up the 1st down, and if you don't, then you set up 4th and short, and then do it again, because they are not stopping the run. And they dropped 8. They knew they weren't going to run. It's the same thing we talked about last week. They dared you to do it, and you said, no, I will not go quietly into that dark night. We will not hand off to Jerick McKinnon. We will not let Patrick Mahomes not touch the ball. Today, we celebrate our independence of running the football day.
Our Dependence Day.
So that's point number 1. I would have liked to see them run the ball. That is not a reactionary. That is a before the play happened, taking notes, 3rd and 3. As soon as he called the audible and Jerick McKinnon went up to the line of scrimmage, I was like, oh no, they're going to throw the ball here. No, just hand it freaking off. Anyway.
The only thing they did easy on the offensive side all night was when they handed the ball to Pacheco or Jerick McKinnon. You got to take the easy stuff when you can find it. Usually that's the passing game. It wasn't last night.
The offensive line gets graded poorly because they couldn't protect Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
They get graded positively at being able to run the ball. I am a let Pat play. You know that. I am not a run the ball, you run to win the game. No, I am a let Pat play. But I am also a what's going on in the game and playing it from there. 3rd quarter against the Chargers, first drive out of the gate, they ran the ball right down their throats and kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. They win that game. They wouldn't do it in the second half. Or at least, I shouldn't say they wouldn't do it. They did it a number of times in the second half. That was a big moment. And you know what? If they pick up the 1st down and hit McKinnon and they run it a couple of other times and they score, we may not be talking about it. But I wrote it down that was a, quote, can't help myself play call on 3rd and 3, whereas I gave them total credit, 3rd and 4 from the 8-yard line. That was a, this is what our game plan is. We know what the Bengals are going to do, and we are going to counter that. They're going to dare us, and we're going to accept the dare. Orlando Brown also doesn't need to get beat on a 3-man rush.
To the inside.
To the inside.
To the inside. He
and
loses
also,
out wide all the time. You can run him out of the picture, but then Mahomes would have had time to probably hit Juju. I mean, it's maybe Orlando Brown's most consequential rep of the season.
Yeah, and he's had a number of them. He's a problem. I mean, there's no getting around that. 57.
There's actually a lot of getting around that. It's been the problem, Jason. Everybody's getting around that.
Just gonna sit back and let that one breathe a little bit. Let everybody sort of marinate on that one. That was very good.
Thank you.
There's no denying.
Okay.
57 is a problem. There's also no denying. Well, I shouldn't say there's no. There is a belief that I have that number 15 also knows that 57 is a problem.
Yeah.
And he's ready to bail because he does not trust number 57 back there. He may like him. They may be friends. He may be at his wedding. They may hang out. They may break bread. They may, have fellowship all the time. On the football field, he doesn't trust him. There's a lot of people in your job, in your career, that you like away from the office that you probably wouldn't put anything important in their hands. And you wouldn't trust them to do that. But you really like them. I think it's pretty obvious how little trust Mahomes has for his blind side. 913-381-0810. Let's go to John next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. John, go right ahead. What is on your mind, sir?
Hey, guys. I don't know if you've already discussed this. I listen to you a lot, but I don't listen to you 24/7.
Dang it, John!
Just 4 or 5, really. Not 24/7, but 4 or 5 doesn't seem like too much. Sorry, John, go ahead.
Exactly. Isn't it time to be pretty critical of the year George Karlaftis is having? I mean, I heard from 3 different analysts this morning on your show that we got to find a way to get Joe Burrow to the ground. He's not a very mobile quarterback. This guy's got 2.5 sacks. He got one yesterday that was, I guess, okay. It was around the 2-minute warning. I thought it was more of a coverage sack than anything, and Burrow just gave himself up and went to the ground. But Mike Dan is a 5th-round draft pick, and he's having a better year than Karlaftis is. So he's got about 12 solo tackles. He's barely averaging a tackle a game, and his sack rate is terrible. I don't even think he had a sack until the Rams game last week against the third-string quarterback. So I'm disappointed in him. And along the same lines, is there a more worthless NFL statistic than a pressure, than an almost sack? I mean, in every other aspect of football, if you almost make a field goal, it's a missed field goal. If you almost make a tackle, it's a missed tackle. And if you almost catch the ball, it's a drop pass. What the hell is an almost sack, a quarterback pressure worth, particularly if there's a positive play that happens with it? Because all I hear is people talk about the pressure that George Karlaftis gets on the quarterback, and all that to me is that, you know, he's a step too slow or doesn't have the skill to actually get to the quarterback and make a sack. So I'd love to hear your comments on that.
I appreciate the phone call, John. 913-381-0810. Thank you for listening as well. I think there are levels to stats, levels to what those things say, and if they're good, bad, or indifferent. A drop pass, it's just simply a drop pass. There might be levels. Is it really a drop pass, or was it a bad throw by the quarterback? A missed tackle, were you left out to dry by a teammate, or did you just simply miss the tackle? You miss a tackle, I don't think there's much positive from that. A pressure can create a negative play for the offense. But there are levels. It is not as good as a sack. It can be looked at as an almost sack, but it is one of the plays that's an almost that still has some production to it or some benefit to it that you can create a negative play for the offense. Because there are plenty of quarterbacks that do not do well under pressure. And pressuring the quarterback should be one of the first things that you think of when it comes to the NFL and stopping the passing game. But you also have to bring that quarterback down, and the Chiefs have not been able to do that against Joe Burrow. In the last 2 times that they went up against him, they sacked him 4 times in Cincinnati last year, 2 times since then. In the 8 quarters, they have 8 quarters in an overtime period, 8 quarters and plus 1 possession that they have gone up against Joe Burrow. They have sacked him a total of 2 times. They've pressured him a number of times, not nearly enough yesterday. We threw out the stat in the first half, or the first part of the show, that on the year, the Chiefs are pressuring quarterbacks at a clip of 25.7%. Yesterday was a season-low 15.6% quarterback pressure rate. They couldn't get there with a blitz. They couldn't get there with 4. They couldn't get there. And when they did, Burrow was able to slither his way out of it. And that might have been a coverage sack by Karlaftis. I appreciate him getting there. Mm-hmm. He beats the right tackle, Lyle Collins, around the outside, and then chases down Joe Burrow. That was also a play in which Joe Burrow was not going to throw the ball away to make it incomplete. So
that's a good point.
If that's in the third quarter, he might have just thrown that away and not taken the sack. But you can't throw it away because you're wanting to keep the clock running. Because that was 2nd and 4, and it was actually, you know what? I digress. That was at the 2-minute warning, so no matter what he did.
Oh, that's true. You're right. He went down at 1:59.
He went down at 1:59.
That's true. That's true.
So let me retract that, because I was thinking
Fair
it was
enough.
the 3rd and 11 was a play in which I didn't expect them to throw almost to the sticks on 3rd and 11. I thought it was going to be either a handoff or a short little pass, something safe. Hopefully you can pick up the first down, pick up extra yards, keep the clock running, get an easier field goal, and go up by 6 and go play defense. No timeouts against the Chiefs have no timeouts, and go keep them out of the end zone. But Zach Taylor played to win and called that play. And for as much as I may say, there are some things about Joe Burrow that I think gets overhyped, that was an all-pro throw. In that window, at that time, with that on the line, incomplete pass. Now it's a minute 40 to play. Up 6. It's a hell of a throw. It's a game-winning throw.
I have a theory that has just dawned on me, and then a specific answer to kind of that question of like, what is the value of a pressure? Now, look, there aren't a lot of examples from yesterday, so I'm going all the way back to the second time the Chiefs were out there defensively. It ended up being the play where Taylor Stallworth got flagged for roughing Burrow, which was Bengal poop.
The play right after the phantom pass interference?
After McDuffie on Chase. I don't know who got there, but I wrote down in my notes at the time, the rush got to Burrow and hurried that deep overthrow down the sideline. That could have been a touchdown if there's no hurrying there. Could have still been covered. Who's to say? But the literal purpose of the stat, I think, is to give credit to defenders who create, as you said, a negative play. If you hurry a throw and it is an overthrow out of the back of the end zone instead of being a touchdown, that is a very valuable thing to bring. But I understand if you're a Chiefs fan, you're sitting there going, okay, so great. So what are these pressures worth when that's the result? Here's my theory. Are pressures more valuable against bad quarterbacks? I think they probably are. Specifically, at least with Burrow, we know this from Mahomes. Pressure's not enough. And this is a place where Burrow has earned a little more, not that he was, needed it, but earned a little more of my respect in terms of me trying to continuously figure out where does he belong in the hierarchy of these young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
My little Herbert greater than sign Burrow soul has been asking questions about itself in the last 24 hours that I don't think it's ever been asking before. I might eventually have to move off my spot on that one. But the pressure affecting Burrow is not sufficient to force a negative play from him. I think his threshold, like Mahomes's, the threshold for what it takes to make a bad play is much higher. So you have to bring him down. You have to actually tackle Joe Burrow and not just hurry and overthrow like they did on at least one occasion. But I'll tell you what, when I went Control F and wrote HURR in my little search bar, one exact rep came up, and it's the one that I'm pulling from because there were not a lot of hurried throws for Joe Burrow yesterday.
Well, and it's here's another example of having multiple pass rushers on your defensive line. I'll go right back to the beginning of the game. Third play of the game, 3rd down and 4. Chiefs bring 4, drop 7. That was the play that Samaje Perine caught behind the line of scrimmage, 4 yards short of the first down. 5 yards short of the first down. And he picked up 11 yards. Not only did he get the first down, he also picked up another 7. So that play specifically, Chris Jones is right there about to hit Burrow when he throws the ball. It's why he had to just do a quick little outlet to Samaje Perine, who was in sort of the mix with the offensive lineman and the defensive line, and then turns around and offers an outlet because there wasn't anybody open. He catches it. That's why he was behind the line of scrimmage when he caught the ball. That's why there was nobody right away to be there, is because he was staying in to help a little bit. But if you watch that play, Michael Dana is lined up just to the left of Chris Jones. Chris Jones is going up against Jonah Williams, the left tackle. Chris Jones is beating Jonah Williams. But Michael Dana offers no pressure whatsoever, that the left guard then goes away from Michael Dana and chips on Chris Jones at the last second, which keeps Chris Jones from getting there a half second sooner to sack Joe Burrow. If Michael Dana is able to offer even a little bit of resistance, that left guard stays with him.
Just keep the guard busy.
Right. And Chris Jones whips Jonah Williams and goes and jumps on Joe Burrow, gets called for a roughing the passer. But we're talking about something different than, and it's a sack.
Gets arrested for attempted murder, and it's a sack.
And gets a sack. But when you don't have anybody else to threaten, now the left guard goes, okay, cool. I know who I'm supposed to double if I don't have a threat here. Because if you watch it, Michael Dana goes into him, is not getting anywhere, and then starts to fall off a little bit because he can't get there. He knows he's toast. He's been getting credited for what he's done in the interior. But he also gets criticism when he's a no-show. And that was so bad that Chris Jones, whipping the left tackle, still couldn't get there in time because then he had to deal with the left guard. Only because the left guard was not kept busy, as you said. Just keep him busy.
Pass rush is a team sport. They've got LeBron, and then you, me, Beards, and Lebo. that's sort of what, and that's not totally fair because I do think
but it feels like that.
But it feels like that far too often.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Is whenever you are an offensive line that can key in on one guy, and then you trust your offensive line to win one-on-one matchups everywhere else, that means something has gone wrong for the opposing defensive line. Even if you really like George Karlaftis, I'm relatively optimistic about his long-term view. I've been out on Frank Clark for a while. Carlos Dunlap makes a great play and then largely is pretty invisible outside of that. I mean, there's a long domino line we can get into at some point for how I think Breeland Speaks leads us to the Chiefs losing to the Bengals in 2022. I can really get us there. I really can. But the Chiefs have been trying to find a second pass rusher the entire time Brett Veach has been the GM. Frankly, really the whole time that since Justin Houston and Tom Bahali left. They've been trying to find a second pass rusher to pair with Chris Jones for Chris Jones' entire time in Kansas City, and they still don't have a legitimate number 2 who can also just win one-on-ones consistently. Maybe, God forbid, even demand a little bit of double-team attention every once in a while.
Win your matchup. Just go and win. Some text, and we'll go to break. Text comes in, 913-912-4810. I thought the delayed blitzes seemed or were very weird. Like, oh, no, we're getting no pressure, and he's getting the ball out really fast, so let's bring a blitz late. Yeah. There were a couple of texts that were related to the officials. A few texts talking about the fake injury.
That was,
at the end.
God, I'll tell you what, if you're one of those people who, quote, can't watch soccer, you got it.
I love those takes by the soccer fans. Like, oh, wait, I was told that you can't watch soccer because of faking injuries, but football, you're cool to do this. You know, simulation gets, a yellow card in soccer, right? That should be a 15-yard penalty.
Should have been 15 for Jesse Bates.
Something.
Free set it down.
That's exactly right. And then text comes in at 913-912-4810 and says, and I've lost the text line. Okay, here it is. 3 games in a row. Zach Taylor and the staff have clown-suited Andy Reid and staff.
Back to scoreboard. No other coaching staff in football can claim that. The Bengals legitimately can.
Yep.
Zach Taylor is maybe the only head coach in the history of the NFL who can say, I own Andy Reid.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling, get to your phone calls, some more of those. And I still want to get into the third downs that we talked about earlier that I haven't really got into the deeper dive I did on the third downs, which I saw a clear difference between the strategy of the two teams. What's
Jason,
the breaking
news is from the baseball world, Beards.
It is. Per Ben Verlander, Justin Verlander is going to the Mets.
How would Ben Verlander know that?
Ooh, first time I've seen the numbers here. Bob Nightingale says 2 years.
72.
86 and an option.
What's the option? To own the team?
Yeah.
The option
ownership stake.
The option ownership stake.
Hachi-machi.
Stock options? Are those the options or stock options? All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
So you get a friend like Shane that has MLB TV package and then pay the $5 a month for the VPN to where MLB TV does not. VP. Isn't that what I said, right?
You said VPN.
No, I said VPN, I promise.
No, you didn't.
You said B.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
VPN. All right, 913-381-810 is the phone number. 913-381-810 is the phone number to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. You can text in at 913-912-4810. Text says, sounds like the KC Chiefs defense needs some of that tackling fuel, like Bobby Boucher had during the record-setting season that culminated in a Bourbon Bowl victory for the Mud Dogs of South Central Louisiana State University. That's right. H2O. You're drinking the wrong kind of water. 913-381-810. Let's go to Paul next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Paul, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Hearing a lot about the fumble yesterday, and what bothers me is Kelsey didn't carry that like a loaf of bread. He had two guys wrapped around his waist and one guy literally pulling that ball away from his body.
Mm-hmm. And he tried to get down. He was trying to get that knee down.
I know it didn't happen, but it's just like, that was, to me, the big turning point because that's when they went down and scored. And I just hate to see him get credited for a fumble that it was just more like a strip sack.
Yeah, and look, I've heard the fighting for extra yards. I think he was fighting to get down almost, like he was fighting with Pratt of holding on to the ball, and then as he felt the arm in there, he was trying to get that knee down. He was his left knee, because they were even talking about, did his shin get down before the ball came out? I think it was unfortunate timing, Paul, in that as Kelsey was running, as Pratt reached in, before he ever got to rip it out, as Pratt reached in, his arm actually got inside of the football to a degree. Where typically, if you're just trying to pull on the football, your hand isn't between the football and that guy's chest. Where Pratt's hand got in there, bad timing for Kelsey, great timing for him. And so when he rips it out, he actually has more of the football than what you would see typically of NFL defenders. That's unlucky. Sometimes it's unlucky when a guy goes and punches and the ball comes out because it's at the wrong place at the wrong time. I give more credit to a defender that goes and punches and that ball comes out, because that's sort of something that you practice. You practice ripping the ball out there, but you can't practice getting your hand inside the ball and the shoulder pads on just a fraction of an inch that then allows you to get more of a grip on the football, that you can really rip it out. Because the violence in which he ripped up, you don't fumble unless you've got a good portion of the ball. And it was just unfortunate. And I don't think Travis Kelce was really fighting for extra yards. I think he was more fighting to get that knee down. But
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Paul, I appreciate the phone call, man. 913-381-810. But there's no debating that was a turning point in the game. There's no getting around 1st and 10 at the ball at the 45-yard line and driving up 4. You just scored touchdowns on your last 2 possessions. That is such a huge play that the Bengals made. The Chiefs didn't. They couldn't get a turnover.
It was just one of those plays. I think acknowledging that as a great defensive play that basically amounted to ripping the pistachio out from inside its shell with your hand, like that was a play the Bengals made, and the Chiefs, like you just said, they just didn't have a whole lot of those. We are going to literally take the football or take the touchdown kind of plays. The Bengals had far more of those than the Chiefs did.
Yeah, and we'd been talking about turnovers not being there. That, they got a lot of turnovers against the 49ers, 3 of them. Then they didn't get a turnover against the Titans, didn't get a turnover against the Jags. Got 2 against the Chargers, and that helped them win the game. And then they got 2 last week, interceptions against Perkins, and it's like, oh, cool, you got interceptions. But I don't really care that it was against the third-string quarterback, who, by the way, they didn't play him yesterday, the Rams. They went with Wofford.
They got Wolford back.
Yeah, Wolford. So, and then they go into this game and they can't get a turnover. I believe they got a turnover. I think it was a phantom pass interference call. I think Trip McDuffie got called for pass interference because he tripped and fell. And because Jamar Chase also sort of got his feet tangled.
And it's weird to watch Jamar Chase not look like a coordinated alien. Anytime he does something that looked semi-unathletic, you go, that's got it. Somebody must have cheated.
You know what else? Let you know that it was a phantom call? Jamar Chase never looked for the flag or complained.
Mm-hmm.
He went and played, and even after the play was over, never looked and was like, hey, where's the flag? Nothing. The ball was thrown. He looks at it and never looks at the official. The flag wasn't thrown until the interception happened, but whatever. This typically a wide receiver, when they're even when they're not pass interfered, they're complaining. Jamar Chase just went about his business as if like, I just didn't come out of the break the way that I typically do and lost my balance a little bit, which threw off the timing, and I'm not there where Burrow thought I was going to be when I came out of my break, and it's an interception. Those things happen. Oh, wait, pass interference. Cool, let's roll.
I was a little surprised it wasn't just a hold. It obviously wouldn't have changed the pick, but it also looked like a play that would have had some interference because of how easy the interception was. Straight to Thornhill, would have been right across Thornhill's face if Chase would have been there clean.
The question is, feet getting tangled up with two guys, is that pass interference?
No, for sure. I would rather it probably not be more often than not. But I mean, it felt kind of ticky-tack.
If a player is looking at the football, so let's say they're running down the field looking at the football and their feet get tangled up.
Yep.
That's not called pass interference.
No,
it's not.
Right.
McDuffie had his eyes towards Joe Burrow, was trying to stay with Jamar. He had his right hand on him, did not have his hand pulling him, did not have his hand where he was grabbing him. Happens a lot in the secondary, in the first 3 or 4 yards. And as Jamar Chase is cutting, Trent McDuffie's left leg hits Jamar Chase's left leg. McDuffie loses balance and falls. Jamar Chase's left foot hits the grass a little bit earlier than it would have had he not had his leg clipped, and so he stumbles a bit. So if you're going to call legs getting tangled up pass interference, then yes, it was pass interference. I feel like that's incidental contact.
Yep.
I feel like it would have been incidental contact if the things were reversed. I would have certainly thanked the officials for the flag because it took that interception off the board for Mahomes if the roles were reversed. But I would like to see, if legs are getting tangled, that's not pass interference, because I don't believe that's in the spirit of the rule. Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's go to Rick next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Rick, go right ahead. What's on your mind?
All right, buddy. How many coaches have gone to 4 AFC championships in the Kansas City Chiefs? None.
I was going to answer for you. I was going to answer for you, Rick. It's none. Damn it. You beat me to it.
Here's the thing. Let the coaches do it. I'm not happy with what happened yesterday, but dadgum, they got beat by a good team. And the thing about it is what it is. Carry on and get better.
Agreed.
And let the coaches do it. They're not there because they're stupid.
Well, I don't think anybody's asking to fire Andy Reid. Has anybody asked for?
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is everything happens, and it happens.
This is
people. They don't play the game. The players play the game, and things happen.
True.
Correct?
Yes, things happen.
So I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rick, I appreciate it. 913-381-0810. We start off the conversation today in discussing this game, bigger picture, that this season I think is still going to end up 14-3, and yet there's still going to be a feeling of frustration in the season. They could still have the number 1 seed, but there's definitely going to be a frustration of this specific game when it is a team that you lost to twice last year, and there was such a buildup and an anxiety and a nervousness and an excitement and an anticipation about this particular game. You're going to have more of an emotional reaction to that. And I haven't heard one person ask for Andy Reid to be fired and say that Andy Reid is not a good coach. Maybe I'm missing that. Maybe Rick is hearing criticism of the way the Chiefs played yesterday, as in then criticism of the coaches and they should be fired. But That's the life of professional sports. You go play the game, and then people talk about it. Good, bad, or indifferent. Let's go to Joe before we take a break. Joe, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, that last caller, I like him, Rick, because he had callers before that saying, oh, you know, the Chiefs, he didn't, more or less didn't give Cincinnati credit. I'm not a Chiefs fan, but it's about, like, you know, you own my team, and I'm not even going to say Cincinnati owns you guys. I'm not going to say that coach owns Andy Reid. But people in Kansas City need, I'm not saying you guys don't, the callers, they need to respect Cincinnati. They just match up really, really good against the Chiefs. And it's like, you know, the Chiefs have their matchups like Tennessee used to match up good against. Figure it out. You got a great quarterback. You got a great tight end. You got a great head coach. And it's frustrating to me. You own my team. But Cincinnati don't own the Chiefs. They're good. And give them their respect. Because before yesterday, was you really going to be shocked if Cincinnati won that game yesterday?
I wasn't going to be shocked, but I would have been. I don't know what's a lesser surprised.
I had questions about the Bengals. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I think we're sort of saying the same
so
thing.
Now, being shocked is the Colts. Okay.
Right. Yes. Right.
And if
Agreed.
Denver pulled it off and they're not,
Agreed.
that would really be a shock. Okay. So Cincinnati's better than what people think. They got a good team. I don't know what it is. These guys, the Chiefs defense is great. They sacked. I mean, they had a lot of sacks. They're great on the rush sometimes, but Cincinnati's rushing attack really looked good yesterday. I mean, they did. I mean, and they've won, 7 out of 8?
Yeah, they've been good. They've been good.
Huh?
They've been good. They started off slow, but I said at the Joe, I said at the beginning of the show that I think this Cincinnati team is better than a year ago. That they're facing a better Cincinnati team now. So Cincinnati got you twice last year. If you're going to get them this year in Arrowhead, or depending on what happens the rest of the way in Cincinnati, who knows? If you got them again in the playoffs, you're facing a better team than you played against last year twice.
Oh yeah.
So.
And Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he just plays different. I mean, yesterday he looked a little frustrated. I mean, they were putting pressure on him. But anyway, just give them their respect. I mean, I give the Chiefs the respect. And I'm not a Chiefs fan, like I said. I'll come out and say it. I'm a diehard Raider fan. And when these Raider fans call in, don't make excuses. Because we're 5-7. We should have beaten New Orleans. We should have beat the Colts. So I'm not going to make excuses. It's the same thing. The Chiefs got a great organization. My team don't. But here, I'm going to end the call after this. It's great to see Burrow, Allen, the best, Patrick Mahomes, Herbert. There's some great quarterbacks. And they're all young, and they're going to be playing against each other. So as football fans, we got a lot to watch and look forward to. And good luck on your Chiefs. Hard for me to say that, but good luck.
Joe, I appreciate the phone call, man. 913-381-0810. I'll say this, Joe. That game against the Raiders on January 7th or 8th, have they decided which day that's on, that Saturday or Sunday?
It was like a weird I think it is definitively on Sunday, but the time is still TBD now.
Okay, so
January 8th.
So that January 8th Raiders game, I think Chad Henne can let his family know he's not going to be playing in that game. I think after yesterday's loss, Chad Henne can let his family know that you don't really need to go to Vegas to watch me play. That'll be a full starter game against the Raiders.
Hold on,
Week 18,
Jason.
Game 17.
Chad Henne can tell his family that they're not going to get to watch him play in the first 3 quarters of that game.
I don't know. They needed every bit of all 4 quarters against the Raiders at home.
No, they did. That was.
And
by then their season will be dead and they won't care. That's how this goes.
Their season.
The way the Raiders are playing right now, I ain't counting them out of getting back in this playoff hunt.
Give it a week.
The Raiders will convince you that maybe they're alive still, and then they play dead, and then maybe they're alive, and then maybe they play. Yeah. I think every point in that call was totally reasonable. By the way, I sour a little bit at the idea of, hey, don't criticize anything, because that's we have to talk about the game we all just watched. But this game, like I said earlier, I'm having to I entered this game with some, hey, Burrow and Bengals, prove something here if you want to be considered amongst the top of the class in the NFL, and they did. And so now they are. Like, they really did earn a little bit from me, and I'm realizing I had to recalibrate my opinion on the Bengals and Burrow a little bit, because I thought, no pun intended, even in the Super Bowl last year, I thought they might be a little bit of a paper tiger, no pun intended, but I'm going to take it. And now I just think they're legitimately one of the teams in the AFC that you absolutely have to be prepared to bleep with. And like the Titans, the Chiefs do not seem to enjoy their matchups with this team very much, and they're going to have to play them again either later this year or sometime next season.
I'm just not sure there's going to be many people around the city or the fan base that are like, man, I don't know. I just think we're so much better than the Bengals and just somehow. Yeah, think that all you want.
Yep.
And the scoreboard hasn't lied yet.
Yep. That narrative died.
It might be 0-3 by a total of 9 points, but it's 9 points. By the way, the Raiders schedule the rest of the way. They head to L.A. to face off against the Rams in Wofford. They play New England at home. They play Pittsburgh on the road. They get San Francisco and Brock Purdy, and then Kansas City at the end of the season. Tell me they can't get back into the playoff hunt.
The AFC West is still alive.
Well,
There's juice in there after all.
Not that.
Not for the division, but
Not
like the
for
teams
division.
in it, other
Yes.
than the Broncos.
For the Chargers and the Raiders, because the Raiders are 1-1 against the Chargers because they won this past weekend, so there is not a tiebreaker between them. Now it'll come back to divisional record and things like that. But the Raiders have a schedule that has some wins that should be attainable with the team that they have after their slow start.
It really is wild. After those slow starts, all three professional football teams in the AFC West have a real shot at the playoffs.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Men lie, women lie, stats don't. But I also think stats are for losers. Final score is for winners.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, wrapping up this hour as well. Going along in the first couple of hours, taking your phone calls at 9133-810-810. But text line we'll get back into as well, as we'll talk with Field Yates coming up. Top of the noon hour, our NFL insider from ESPN, Field Yates. One of the texts earlier today that we said, look, this is a game that Rams we moved on from pretty quickly to, okay, let's talk Bengals. This is a week and a game to where it's probably not moving on to let's talk Broncos and let's talk Texans. It'll be about the other teams in the AFC, right, Bill? But maybe coming back to this game a number of times and what happened and things to take away from it. Texters look cool. Looking forward to throwing up in my mouth a few times this week. Yeah.
I got a head start on that last night. Up to 3 already. Just watching the game.
Good for you.
Oh, and then once when the show started.
Yeah. And then at the break there.
In the last break. Oh, hold on. I mean,
Field Yates next.
Pizza. You're in the zone.
Let's start with sports. Do you guys still have the 6 TV question?
We do have that one. That is Tua Tagovailoa had a big day on Sunday in the comeback win.
With Jason Anderson.
Tua Tagovailoa
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If you're scoring at home, that's Tua Tagovailoa. That's right. Or Tua Tagovailoa. Either one. Either one. It's more than 2 losses for the Chiefs against the Bengals this calendar year.
Nice.
0-3. Let's talk to Field Yates, NFL insider from ESPN, joining us here on the show. Field, what is up, man? How are you, sir?
Jason, I'm doing well, and I have a story to share with you.
Please, go ahead.
I heard your struggles with Tua's last name, Tagovailoa, and obviously it's one that is struggled. I mean, a lot of people struggle with that last name, and I think probably Tua understands exactly why. It's a very long last name. There are lots of syllables. That is often the recipe to screw up a last name, but you are not alone. However, I've had to work on that last name many a time in various duties at ESPN, and I got into a comfort zone with Tagovailoa, which, if you go look at any media guide right now, whether it's Alabama or Miami, or even all the way back to his St. Louis high school days in Honolulu, Hawaii, you will see that is the correct pronunciation. About a year and a half or so, though, from right now ago, Adam Schefter received a piece of fan mail, and it really wasn't much of fan mail. It was a piece of mail from some gentleman who wanted to let him know that he and I were pronouncing Tua's last name incorrectly. He gave us a different pronunciation, Tagovailoa, which is incorrect. We were using the correct pronunciation. And he wanted to let us know that we were both gigantic a-holes. So, it's okay. Schefter has posted the letter on his Instagram account in the past. I want to see if I can dig that out. And if so, I'll send it your way. I just want to let you know that you're not alone.
Yeah, I get annoyed by that returner because that may be the only time, and I'm not even joking, that may be one of the only times I've actually messed up on his name, because I've gotten many conversations with people to where they're like, why are you saying tongue? Because they're like, there's no in there. No, but you pronounce it Tagovailoa. You start with the tongue. Sorry, mark that.
I was going to say that I can already imagine the in cut for next week's segment when I hear that exact line replayed one more time. But I mean, listen, Brett Favre, it was spelled Favre, like
favor.
People just got to know this. So favor. People need to know that names. We have a weird language we speak, and a weird language in the way we spell things. So that's all I have on Tua and spelling for the week. More next Monday at noon Arrowhead time here on the show.
Hello, gentlemen. I have been a fan of both your works for the various shows on ESPN platforms. You both do great work, and I appreciate it. Now, for informational purposes, I'm a retired radio/TV announcer, a commercial voice, and voiceover artist. So I know how to pronounce these words. The problem is, you don't. The rest of it's not quite as excellent, but boy, I mean, he really nailed the landing on that one.
Here's the problem.
So good.
Here's the problem.
So
you don't. All right, so what do you take away from yesterday's game? We're trying to, we've talked a lot about the different things from that, but what's your general reaction and takeaway from the 27-24 win by the Bengals?
Yeah, so if we look back at a couple of the Chiefs' losses this season, they've lost to, I think, 2 of the 3 best teams in the AFC, the third team being themselves. You can't lose to yourself. Although I guess you could argue the Chiefs lost to themselves against the Colts when they just sort of piddled down their leg in that effort, which feels like forever ago, and I still can't believe the Colts actually won that game. But you're going to have opportunities to play the very best on occasion during the season, and these are sort of measuring stick games, and I think that the Chiefs and Bills and I think the Bengals as well right now are the 3 best teams in the AFC. I don't think it's particularly close. And the Chiefs are 0-2 in those games. What does it mean? Here's what I would say, is that the dynamic the Chiefs don't have when they play the Bengals is they don't have the element of fear that you and I have talked about this a bunch. The Chiefs are so good, and they're so well coached, and they're so tactical, and they're just so efficient that I can't tell you how many times we've seen a team, oftentimes in their own division, do something extremely dumb in a critical moment against the Chiefs. And it's because I tend to think that some of it is just like a fear knowing that one error could be the difference between a win and a loss, and they make that one error. Cincinnati has acquired confidence about them against Kansas City. I don't think that the Chiefs are a decidedly worse team than Cincinnati. It was a big environment they went and saw on Sunday in Cincinnati. I think these 2 teams are very, very good, and it wouldn't surprise me if 2 of those 3 teams are playing in the AFC Championship game in late January.
You mean two of those teams would be
Heyo.
playing in the AFC?
You meant Tagovailoa of those teams.
That's exactly right. Thank you. It's pronounced Devon. Field Yates is our guest from.
I probably need to give the Dolphins a bit more credit there because they probably are marching in on that fourth. They might be in the mix as well. They are so explosive on offense.
They are. But I want to talk about them in a little bit, but since you brought it up, we may double back and get back into the Chiefs. The 33-17 loss to the 49ers, even with that Jimmy Garoppolo, did that bring them down a notch? Maybe the Dolphins that were moving up closer and closer to saying, are the Dolphins maybe the third team in the AFC behind the Chiefs and Bills? But this weekend, Dolphins lose 33-17, and the Bengals go and beat the Chiefs. Maybe they now flip seats in the pecking order in the AFC.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think we'll find out more over the next couple of weeks. And not to be obvious here, but Miami and Minnesota, man, they had some weird quarterback luck, and it was like, of course, Miami faces off against Brock Purdy yesterday, right? Because look at some of the quarterbacks they have faced prior to that game this season. And the hard part about Miami is that if you go back during the 5-game winning streak prior to the loss yesterday, Steelers, Lions, Bears, Browns without Deshaun Watson, and the Texans. Like, which of those teams screams like, wow, like, that's an awesome football team? The answer is none of them, obviously. So then they go and lose to San Francisco. Over the next couple of weeks, they have the Chargers. That game is in Los Angeles, so they're staying on the West Coast for the week. They play the Chargers this upcoming Sunday night. Then they have the Bills in Buffalo the following Saturday, which was announced just as you and I were about to get on the air. So I know that every team could find a schedule gripe somewhere, but Miami is about to earn whatever happens over the next couple of weeks. That is a very difficult stretch right there. So I think they're close. Miami, I just don't think has been tested the same way, and they've got 2 offensive tackles that are hurt right now. And if those guys aren't back soon, it could be a big problem.
All right, visiting with Field Yates from ESPN, our NFL insider. So one of the takeaways and reactions that we've had around here the last 2 times they have faced the Bengals, the Chiefs have, is the inability to bring down Joe Burrow, where it seems like other teams haven't struggled as much to bring down Joe Burrow. Now, to be fair, the Titans got 1 sack on Joe Burrow last week. Chiefs got 1 sack on Joe Burrow yesterday, but they got 1 sack on Joe Burrow when they faced off against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, so they haven't been able to bring him down. When you look at the Chiefs offense, and people have been dissecting and saying, how do you stop them for a long time? As we look at the Bengals offense, is the key to pressure and bring down Joe Burrow? Is that the only way you're stopping Cincinnati? That if you can't bring him down, then those wide receivers and running game or whatever and Joe Burrow in particular are too good to be able to play a whole game where you only get a negative play from a sack 1 time or 2 times in a game?
That's probably what it is. And you don't really slow down or stop the Bengals' offense. You just kind of manage them a little bit. In the same way that no one goes to Kansas City and says, hey, if we can hold Patrick Mahomes to 13 points, we've got this. Like, okay, sweet. Like, I would like to hold the 2000 Rams to 13 points as well, right? That will be a good way to go into the game and finish it off. So I think it really is about management against Joe Burrow. And, I live in the New England area, so I still hear plenty of local coverage for all the New York teams and also the Patriots. And on Thanksgiving night, when Justin Jefferson had a big night, people were talking around here locally like, where did they go wrong? And it's like, Justin Jefferson might be the best wide receiver in football, right? Like, what happened yesterday was not like the Chiefs have some sort of like fatal flaw, right? Maybe it's that Joe Burrow is, I would think, probably like, and I hate the fact that we're always doing this conversation, but if you were to do an MVP poll right now, he's a top 5 candidate, right? Like, Joe Burrow's awesome. He's one of the, he's been one of the best quarterbacks through 2.5 seasons in NFL history. Like, I don't think there's some major, I don't consider this like a massive stain on the Chiefs' defensive resume that yesterday they went to Cincinnati and a team that has Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, even without Joe Mixon, like Samaje Perine, a more than capable backup running back, 27 points. Like, if this was a 47-44 game, I think the conversation is more interesting. But the Bengals always are going to bring their best against the Chiefs. They're a good team on both sides of the ball. They're good in the special teams as well. Like, I thought 27-24 was, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it, like a non-notable result. in the sense that, like, someone had to win the game, someone had to lose the game. But it's not like I walked away and I thought to myself after that, like, like, this could be a long couple, the Chiefs might not be able to advance very far in the postseason. Maybe I'm being too stoic about this, but I really didn't feel dramatically differently about the Chiefs after that game as I did before that game.
Yeah, the interesting sort of feel of post-game Bengals, post-game Bills around here. After the Bills game, you and I had a conversation that it was odd that there wasn't much frustration or complaints or even, nitpicking of the Chiefs and Bills. It was okay, now you see them. You may have lost the game, but a play here or there, you win. And if they're the favorites to win the Super Bowl, you may have to go there, but you're not walking in there going, boy, you got to play your A-plus game and hope they play a C and, pull off an upset. You can play on the field with them. So there was a level or a feel of that around here. And after this one, it's not that. It's a, what's going on. The defense is an issue. Choosing to go for the field goal. You can't sack and bring down Joe Burrow. Tackling is an issue. Like all of these things that we saw in the game. Whereas if we looked at it the same way we did the Bills game, you could actually have the same takeaway of there are about 20 plays in that game against the Bills and about 20 plays in the game against the Bengals that if they're flipped, you might be talking about a different result. Both of them ended up losses. But I think part of that also, Field, is there's more respect around here for Buffalo and the Bills than there are the Bengals.
Thank you.
That's what it is.
Okay, I was getting ready to report to exactly what you were saying. But it's just simple. Fans respect / fear Josh Allen and the Bills more than they do the Bengals. And let's look at the context of these games. Like coming into the KC game against Buffalo, I believe the Bills had just one loss at that point, and that was the game that they lost to the Dolphins, in which like half their team was gone. It was just the most ridiculous game, and somehow they almost won the game. They played like 93 snaps on offense. It was like everything that could go wrong in critical moments did go wrong. It's different here. Cincinnati started the season 0-2, and I think that while they are absolutely deserving of as much respect and fear as almost any team in the AFC, like this all happened very fast in Cincinnati, right? No one was talking about them as a deep playoff threat going into last playoffs. Everybody was kind of like, this is a cool story. It's great to see the franchise taking positive steps, but we're on a collision course. The Chiefs-Bills in the divisional round, and that might as well be the AFC Championship game or even the Super Bowl. And I think that the Bengals have proven they deserve and have earned plenty of respect, and that this is a team that, when we talk about the hierarchy of the AFC, is right there in the conversation. Now, they've got to do some work just to win their own division. Certainly seems like they are a reasonable bet to win that division, with Lamar Jackson likely to miss some period of time here for the Ravens. But, yeah, I think it's as simple as there's just a different level of respect for the Bills and Josh Allen. And by the way, I love Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is a freaking rock star. But if I were a defensive coordinator, I too would be more afraid of the guy who's 240 pounds, runs like a running back, and throws the ball all over the yard. Like, that's not a disrespect to Joe Burrow. That is instead a reflection of just how darn good Josh Allen is. In the same way that Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes strike a lot of fear into opposing coordinators' minds as well.
There is going to be a fascinating matchup on January 2nd on Monday night between the Bills and the Bengals there in Cincinnati in Week 17 and Game 16. A lot of attention being paid. Last one for you real quick. As you're guessing right now today, December 5th, who gets the 1 seed in the AFC?
I'm going to go Buffalo, and honestly, my answer is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be who currently has the lead.
Right.
And obviously the Bills would have, like, if I look at their schedule the rest of the way, the toughest game is, as you just mentioned, at Cincinnati. That might be the game that tilts one way or the other, the number 1 seed. But I look at the schedules as, like, relatively comparable. I think the Chiefs certainly have a lot of winnable games. The toughest one for them is probably, I would think, either Seattle,
maybe Seattle
or
at home.
Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas at home.
Yeah,
Vegas on the road. Yeah, Vegas on the road.
Yeah, just with the way that Vegas is playing right now.
Yeah.
Better football for sure. So, and they played them well the first time around, even though they did lose. So I'll give Buffalo the slight edge, but this is really it's borderline coin flip territory. I think Cincinnati does have a chance, but it would obviously be tough for Cincinnati because their schedule down the stretch is very, very difficult. I know they're very good, but their schedule the rest of the way is extremely tough. They have the Browns, and I know they have Tampa. I know they have New England, who Patriots aren't great right now, but you never know. It's a long season, and they do have Buffalo, obviously, as we talked about as well.
All right, Field Yates, ESPN, NFL Insider. Field, you're the man. Really appreciate the time, sir. Thank you so much for the time, and we'll talk to you next week, bud.
Shout out to Tua Tagovailoa as well.
There you go, Field. You're the man. Field Yates and
Yahtzee. Actually, it's Field Yahtzee.
A good portion of discussing Tua Tagovailoa here on the show.
Again, you guys mentioned that right at the beginning because this all broke right at noon. But 7:15 Eastern on Saturday, December 17th, Dolphins-Bills. So we can all come together, watch it all in prime time Saturday night, pull our hair out, root for one side or the other. But Dolphins have the chance to knock Buffalo off there. Obviously, be huge.
That'd be nice. That would be nice. But Dolphins licking their wounds from the dominant performance by the 49ers, even without Jimmy Garoppolo. Interceptions for Tua Tagovailoa, another fumble loss. He had 3 turnovers in that game yesterday, and a couple of them were for touchdowns.
I just actually looked again at the Tyreek Hill trade terms, and this also says, and the Bills will, or the Dolphins will make sure to beat the Bills in December this year. So,
okay.
I got to double check a second source on that, but that's huge news.
So this upcoming season's 4th rounder conditionalizes up to a 2nd if they don't beat the Bills.
The all of that conditional pick math is very. One of these involves Ryan Poles. I don't know.
Something like that.
Something
I'm
going
not
on.
sure. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from Andy Reid next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
If cheese was an antidote, I would be the healthiest man in the world right now. You have no idea how much cheese I've eaten in the last year.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, thinking of Field Yates right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Mick Shaffer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. KSHB 41 Sports Director. Sunday sound off last night with Mick. Good time. Talk some Chiefs. We talk K-State winning the Big 12 and the fun way in which they won and the feel of TCU's going to get it. This is what TCU does. This is what TCU does. It's what they do.
Such a
K-State's like, no. You know, if you listened to the show about a month ago, you would have known that K-State was going to win that game. You didn't have to watch it. You didn't even have to watch the rest of the Big 12 season play out. A month ago, I told you, Kansas State is going to make the Big 12 championship game, and they will beat TCU. For a month, I've been saying that. You fools.
I watched it just for the entertainment value, but I already knew what was going to happen. So it was like watching a movie with spoilers. You know, they'd been spoiled a month ago. So.
Also told everybody last week, money line. Don't worry about K-State plus the points. Money line.
Why don't you spoil some NFL weekends for me? Because I could use the help on that one.
No. See, the thing is, I only do that when I'm right.
Oh, okay.
I don't talk about literally every single bet I lost yesterday.
Okay.
Now, they were very close to winning a ton of money.
Yeah.
Turns out zero.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Damn you, Travis Kelce, and your anytime touchdown. Maybe damn you, DJ Reader. Because Kelce might have scored a touchdown on the 3rd down and 3.
Yeah, I was there.
On the first drive. Catches it, turns. He might have scored. But you want to talk about luck or unlucky or creating your luck, all of that stuff. That play specifically. They blitzed. And because they were blitzing, Reader's job was to take the center and the guard to their left, his right, and by going in that direction, he then sticks a hand up and he's in the passing lane. If he just rushes straight ahead, that's an obvious window, and Kelce catches the ball. Didn't happen. But
Bengals
it's just like,
were ready for a lot of that stuff. They made plays in those moments all the time.
Like the timing of that. He's rushing to his right. He's almost turned, away from, like his left shoulder is almost facing Mahomes, and he sticks his right hand up, and it's exactly where the ball is going to go. Like, it's just, not only that, though, like if that was covered, Juju's standing wide open at the top. But it didn't matter because Kelce was also wide open. It's like not like Mahomes missed a wide open guy and tried to force it to Kelce. They were both wide open. Ball gets knocked down. It happens. It's a football game. Sometimes you make the plays. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes it rains. Sometimes you're in somebody else's movie. All right, Andy Reid talking today about that Bengals loss and looking ahead to the rest of the season and the AFC West and some more matchups to go with that. Says that, they just didn't have enough to beat the Bengals.
All in all, I thought we did some good things. We just had a couple mistakes down the stretch, and when two good teams are playing each other, that takes place, and it can cost you. And so that's kind of what happened. Not that there weren't plays in between there that needed to be made. Likewise, but down the stretch, when you have an opportunity to potentially go up on them and make it real difficult, we can't have the things happen that happen. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
Go first to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy. You talked a little bit after the game last night about that decision to try the field goal toward the end of the game there. Just curious what your thinking was on the third down, because you remember Pat took a sack, lost 4 or 5 yards. Were you thinking after the third down play you were in 4-down territory, or were you always thinking you were in field goal mode? And Brad will have a second question as well.
Yeah, I thought we were in field goal mode. So that's what I said last night. That's what,
Okay. So you were in field goal mode pretty much the whole on third down as well there?
No, on third down I was trying to get a first down.
No, I understand that, but you were thinking field goal there if that pass was incomplete or something like that.
Yeah, potentially, yes.
Okay, all right. You can clinch the division Sunday if you win and some other things happen. Were you thinking entering this year, this might be the most difficult of years to get that done, just given the moves that all the other AFC West teams have made this year?
I'd tell you, yes. I thought all the AFC West teams bettered themselves. I thought we, which has already been said, but had one of the tougher schedules in the league. And I'm proud of how the guys have kind of battled through that to get to this point.
It's interesting. He thought this year was going to be the most difficult AFC West championship or AFC West sort of run to win a championship in the division. I stand corrected. I mean, I'm shocked that I got that wrong. I mean, shocked, I tell you. I'm floored. I don't even know how to proceed. I said earlier, and all sarcasm aside, I said earlier that on 3rd and 3, I thought they were I thought they were in the mindset of, we will go for it on 4th down. This is a 2-down territory to pick up the 4th down. And then when Mahomes got sacked, lost 4 yards, and was hobbled a little bit, let's kick the field goal. Nope. They were going to kick the field goal even if Mahomes didn't get sacked.
They should have been doing what you said you thought they were doing.
That's bothersome.
Should have been.
Man, that's bothersome.
I've gotten all the way to 12:30 today and haven't mentioned the fact that they took 3 points early in the game also on 4th and 3, was it?
4th and 3,
I think
yeah.
that sounds about right. Yeah, I know. 4 more points in that game may have helped.
Right after the play that we just talked about, they got batted down at the line of scrimmage that Kelsey and Juju were both open. And the Bengals blitzed. They brought a blitz. They brought 2 different guys. Juju was so wide open because his corner blitzed. And so nobody was there to guard Juju. And again, Mahomes is seeing Kelsey. So I just want to restate. This is revisionist if you say, or if I were to say, dude, just look at Juju, where the blitz is coming from. Throw the ball, he scores a touchdown. The cornerback did not show blitz. He was on Juju, did not even look inside until the snap, and then he ran. And so Juju just stood there like, hey, and then he kind of ran a slant. But the read for Mahomes was, oh, Kelsey's right there. And Kelsey was wide open. That was the right read, pre-snap. They showed no indication of bringing the cornerback on a blitz. They did blitz, and Kelsey would have had to be immediately guarded. And the read not there for you to see Juju up top on the blitz. But it was just unfortunate timing. But that was 4th down and 3, and then they kicked the field goal. But they were in field goal mode. Even if that pass was incomplete and Mahomes did not lose 4 yards on the sack.
I felt like they're in field goal mode all night.
Goal. Well, no, they went for it on 4th down.
They did.
They went for it on 4th down a couple times.
Twice.
Yes.
Got it both times.
4th and goal. I mean, the air Mahomes doesn't happen if they kick the field goal.
Air Mahomes on 4th and goal and 4th and whatever it was in midfield.
4th and 4. And Juju picked up 5.
4th and mid in midfield. The Chiefs were aggressive because the field position game there doesn't make any sense. They went for it, and it turned into a touchdown at the end of that drive.
And that was a hell of a play by Juju.
It really was.
I mean, because
really was.
I thought it was a really good job of tackling. It's just you're tackling somebody who's damn near a tight end. Juju was a cheeseburger away from being a tight end. What'd they say that about Florida State player that went and played for the Panthers?
Florida State? Kelvin Benjamin?
Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin's like a cheeseburger away from being a tight end. Then he was.
The reason I doubted you being a Kelvin Benjamin reference is my memory of Kelvin Benjamin is he was a couple of cheeseburgers away from being an offensive guard.
It was like, it's a big deal. He could be a tight end. And then he was.
He was.
All right, Andy Reid says that the Bengals did a good job of protecting Joe Burrow.
Yeah, we got around him. We just didn't get him on the ground, which we've got to do a better job with. He has a knack for getting out of there, and he did a good job. It wasn't that we didn't have people around him. That wasn't the case. The majority of the time there were people there. He slithered underneath them.
Let's go next to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned last night how this can be a learning experience for your guys. What gives you confidence that they can take this and become better because of it?
Well, you learn from every game, but when you have a young team, that was a pretty good football team you're playing. So you can learn. You learn from your experience out there against good skill players, how you have to handle them. You learn that every opportunity you got to take advantage of. And I know the punters didn't have a big day, but you want to keep them off the field as much as you possibly can from your offensive side. And then touchdowns obviously become important. Turnovers become important. All your situational football is magnified when you have two good teams playing against each other.
Yeah, situational football becomes a huge talking point after the game is over of what took place in those situations. Did you execute? What was the call? Did you go for it? Did you kick? Did you punt? Whatever that might be. Interesting. Asked, can you learn from the game, and what do you learn? Well, not only can you, but you say you learn from the game. What can you learn? He says, well, you learn from every game, loss, whatever. But with a young team, the first thing he said was, when you're going up against skill position players like that, you learn how to handle them. His first thought is that secondary is learning a lot from that game. That secondary, you just went up against one of the best wide receiving cores in the league. Okay, now you know. Now you know what it's like. Okay, there's some good receivers that are out there, but the combination of T and Jamar and even Tyler Boyd, who dropped the football, and that's the first drop he's had, I think, since the French and Indian War.
And he got wide open for it.
Yeah, which was, by the way, offensive pass interference, but no big deal. That was an easy one where Jamar Chase didn't even try to hide it. He actually just chucked his elbow out at the but whatever. Okay, skill position. The first thing he said, that, with a young team, you learn how to handle a team with skill position players and how you go up against them. And then he got into, situational football it's magnified and things like that, but yeah.
He's right about the young corners. That's a great learning experience for a group. We said they would be growing pains. The defense has been better than I expected it to be multiple times this season. And frankly, I thought those young corners did okay yesterday. Trent McDuffie especially. But that's a lot of experience for a dude out of Fayetteville State. Joshua Williams a year ago was playing football for Fayetteville State.
Mm-hmm.
I know where that is only because I know where Fayetteville is. I don't know anything else about the school.
And I know it's not even a state. That's what's crazy about it. Like,
really? I thought it was the one next to Arkansas.
It's not number. There's only 50. So I don't think
but Alaska's not real.
So it's all right. That makes sense.
I thought it was the 50th.
Fayetteville is the 50th. I get it now. I don't put any blame or anything on the 3rd and 11 on Williams. I thought he played it well. He was there. It was a tight window throw. T. Higgins goes and makes the play. It happens. The Williams mistake I thought he made, and 1,000 plays that happen in a football game, it was the Jamar Chase 3rd and 5. That he was the outside corner, and when Jamar Chase caught the ball, his first step was inside of T. Higgins, who then just blocked him to the inside, which allowed Jamar Chase to turn the corner. Also, the biggest issue on that one was Juan Thornhill's terrible pursuit and stopping and stuttering based on Jamar Chase just stopping a touch when McDuffie was to his inside. You had help there, and you overreacted to a small little stutter. But Jamar Chase got around the outside because then Williams was being blocked to the inside by T. Higgins. So Andy Reid says the Bengals switched a few things up defensively against the Chiefs yesterday.
You know what, Sharon? They added a little bit more just straight zero in there. They pop with it normally, but they showed us a couple of lot blitzes, and I thought, Pat and 11 did a nice job of working that down the field. So they did a good job against it. But They did the drop 8 against us. I thought we were productive against it.
And then the roughing. I'm not asking about the roughing the passer penalty per se. I know you can't get into that. And you don't want to criticize the refs and get fined and all that. But what is the is there a paragraph you've got somewhere that describes how you're supposed to hit a quarterback and not end up with a flag? Does the league have details on that?
Saran, it's something new, and it's all over the place. I think we're getting different looks. I thought, I didn't agree with that. Now, John's a heck of an official too. So, but this thing we've got to get worked out and worked through because I didn't see that one.
That's towing the line for Andy Reid in talking about officials. So probably as much as you're going to get from a coach that doesn't want to get fined. Oh, it's all over the place. We got to get figured out. I didn't agree with that one, but he is a heck of an official. That is a really good official. I didn't agree with that one. Those things happen. We got screwed on that one. That is a BS call. We lost the game because of that. Here's a fine.
I think a compliment sandwich usually is enough to get you not fined, and that's what it was right there. It was, no, it's all over the place. We got to get this figured out. What a heck of an official. I didn't see it, though.
Yeah, I think it was back-to-back plays that Andy Reid had real problems with the officials because he was chewing the ear of the official that threw the flag on the pass interference as that official was going back down the field. And then, here's the thing. Star Wars played in the league a long time. You know you can't have both arms underneath the quarterback when you fall.
I just don't. I don't know what to do there. I just don't know. I don't know what to tell a 300-pounder what to do with his body weight at that point, man.
They've told him you take your right or left hand out, and he knew it when he landed. Then all of a sudden he pulled his right, wait,
right.
So he knew what he did. I think maybe reacting like that, even like reacting that abruptly, might have been the official going, oh, wait, you did have both hands on him. You did wrap your arms around him and then land on him. How dare you? That is 15. Had you wrapped your arms around him and then right before hitting the ground, you put an arm out, that is not 15 yards, but that arm stayed in. That's 15 yards. And I wouldn't have known that until you showed me that. Oh, see, thou doth protest much. That is a 15-yarder, buddy. Also, that wasn't the biggest or most pivotal call of that drive, even though they brought in Gene Steratore to talk about that and said, let's talk about the pivotal penalty call on this drive. No, it would have still been 2nd and 10. The pivotal call was whether or not I wanted to hear Gene Steratore weigh in on whether or not that was pass interference when McDuffie and Jamar Chase got their feet tangled up. Because that's 7 points off the board for the Bengals, and the Chiefs have 1st and goal at the 8. That's potentially a 14, at least a 10-point swing.
The Chiefs didn't hit Joe Burrow, and they did hit him. They hit him too hard. Cool. Awesome.
You got him too good.
I love it here.
Got him too good. But no, Andy Reid not happy. And clearly it is a point of frustration with the coaches because we've heard many coaches talk about the roughing the passer. And as he said, there's something new. It's all over the place. We're getting different looks. We got to get this thing figured out. I didn't agree with the call. Also, he talked about switching things up defensively for the Bengals, that they did more cover zero, more all-out blitzes, and they did. The play we were just talking about, 3rd and 3, 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line, when the Chiefs settled for the field goal the first drive, they brought a blitz. They brought a corner. They brought a linebacker. They came and blitzed the Chiefs. They did that a number of times more than we saw them do last year, and that was a switch-up. Okay, when are they blitzing? When are they not? I don't know. Maybe that's why the Chiefs didn't run it on 3rd and 3. They thought maybe they might bring the all-out blitz on 3rd and 3. Nope, they dropped 8. So there you go. Andy Reid thinks that Cincinnati had a good game plan against Travis Kelce yesterday.
Yeah, listen, they did a good job. Now left other people open, but they and I could have. Let me start that with this, Sam. That I could have dialed up more things that were a little bit more friendly for him too, and got him into space a little bit more. So some of that is on the calls. Other is they had a plan for him, where they're going to double in and out him and, take him out. Now, it opened up things for the other guys to be productive, but we take a lot of pride in being able to get guys open when somebody has a plan on them. And then second half, we did a little better with it. So, and Trav did better.
Go last to Nick Jacobs. Go ahead, Nick.
Andy, my question for you is with the youth you had on secondary and the rookies on defense, What do you hope they kind of took away from playing in a playoff atmosphere like that, in a game that intense, and having a trio of that caliber receiver? What do you kind of hope they took away from that?
Yeah, Nick, I think that this is hurt as they are. I think that that's going to help them grow, and whether it's a leverage thing, whether it's not having to strike hard at a ball, but just getting your hand on the ball is good enough. Your footwork and how you handle that, all those things against good players, and you had a variety of sizes that you're going against. I think and speed. So I just think that they look at it properly, which they're pretty good that way. They look at it properly, they can grow from that.
Would have been nice to do that in a win, to say, boy, you went up against Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Like you said, different size, speed combinations that are out there, matchups. Jamar Chase, smaller, faster. T. Higgins, bigger, stronger. Tyler Boyd, sort of meaty, in the middle, and a possession receiver type player. And you come away with that one, and it would be nice if you came away from that one with a win, and now you've got extra things to take away, the leverage. And I don't know if he's talking specifically of 3rd down and 11 when he said that, all you just touch the ball when it's in the air. You don't really have to have the full swipe and knock the ball away. Even just touching the ball can make a difference there. The leverage thing I think is interesting because that goes back to the Jamar Chase 3rd and 5. Those last 2 third downs could be something he mentioned specifically. You need the leverage and the footwork, and then the just simply touching the football when it's in the air. You don't have to knock it away and get a full hand on it. So yeah, definite learning experience, and I didn't think they got exposed. I didn't think the Chiefs went into that game and the secondary was like, oh my goodness, these young guys, that is a problem. No, it was the more expensive veterans in the defensive line. And by the way, we haven't even mentioned the linebackers.
I was going to say the same thing. I know we got a break, and we've got a whole week to talk about all this stuff, but the middle of the defense was the worst part. The young corners were getting spotlight pregame because that matchup was really intriguing. They held their own. Middle of the Chiefs' defense let them down, and that's a tough thing to say when you've invested that much in the middle of your defense.
That was a game of where it felt like every time the Bengals ran the ball or caught the ball, just felt like they picked up 3 more yards than they should have.
Sure did.
Boy, man, how'd they get 4 extra yards on that? It felt like they were. Nick Bolton hits Samaje Perine 4 yards short of a first down. That may be the only play I can remember of Nick Bolton hitting somebody and that guy gaining 4 more yards.
You can include Willie Gay if you want. So
Willie
it's not
Gay
all
was bad
about
too.
Nick Bolton.
No, Willie Gay was bad. They were both bad.
They were slow. They were slow to the holes.
Yeah.
And frequently you saw them get, if not 4 yards, get hit at that point of contact and then hold on for dear life while they picked up 2 or 3 more. Those yards add up. Those are meaningful hidden yards. I understand Jamar Chase running through Trent McDuffie. That's an unfair fight by weight class. Nick Bolton can't be getting bowled over by Samaje Perine. That cannot happen, and it did.
Yeah, and we can pick out individual plays of where here's some frustration, but there was one. I go back to the Jeffrey Simmons when Mahomes ran for 20 yards on 3rd and 17 or whatever, and Jeffrey Simmons was kind of just jogging and oh wait, I'm in the play.
Yep.
The play that was kind of a broken play by Burrow in the backfield where he ended up just running it almost behind the running back and he picked up 10 yards or whatever. If you watch when Burrow gets to the line of scrimmage, Willie Gay's 5 feet away and just sort of just walking, not even really trying to get there. And then he sees Burrow and then he does a shoulder lunge.
Yeah.
And Burrow just runs by him. That was really surprising. The juice man, that wasn't bringing the juice on that particular play, and it was kind of just going through the motions. It just felt like there was a number of going through the motions in that game for some reason. They were the hunter. They were the ones the Bengals were the hunted. Chiefs are going to show that this is different this year. And it just felt like it was kind of a flat effort at times. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Nick Bolton, like, no, hated it. I mean, just an awful player. I mean, just nothing about Nick Bolton gets me excited at all. No instincts. Really doesn't hit hard at all. That's the issue I have with him.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rock Chalk. I actually did get some reaction from people that thought I was serious on that.
Yeah, you made some great points. I've never heard that clip before. I assumed you recorded it after the game last night.
That's right. That's when...
I'm with you, across the board.
Not sure why I just recorded it and sent that audio file to Beards for a returner. It's weird. I think that may have been after they drafted him, but did have some people like, are you serious? Like the one thing people talk about. So it's like, what? Really? I don't know. I don't see it.
The line between bit and true take gets ever blurrier.
He had a rough game yesterday. He did. But he, along with a lot of his friends.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, it's a team game, and it took the whole team working together to blow that one. What happened? And it took a good team on the other side to not be intimidated by the Chiefs and make the plays when it mattered because they had done it before.
Kickoff.
The University of St. Mary is proud to offer KC's most flexible MBA. Choose your method, online, on ground, or a blend of both. For more details, join us virtually December 7th. RSVP at stmary.edu/RSVP. Let's start with the victors. The Kansas State Wildcats won the Big 12 on Saturday in an overtime thriller over TCU, winning 31-28. Chris Kleiman's Wildcats will finish their season in the Sugar Bowl versus Alabama on New Year's Eve. Meanwhile, Kansas will play Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl, and Mizzou will play the Gasparilla Bowl against Wake Forest. The U.S. men's national team Saturday morning fell to the Netherlands 3-1 in the round of 16, ending their World Cup run in the first part of the knockout stage. And yeah, the Chiefs lost to the Bengals 27-24. I've been talking about it all day. We'll talk about it more with Mick Shaffer of KSHB 41 next in the Zone. This is SportsCenter.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I've tried a lot of different things to get these. There's a couple squirrels that keep wanting to eat the tomatoes and my apples.
Oh, I got it. Don't plant tomatoes.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, hanging out on this Monday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Credit to all three of us here. We all three had the Bengals winning on Friday, and Beards had Bengals 3-2.
I was going to, but if you remember, I said it's hard to pick against the Chiefs.
What was my score, Jason?
Your score?
I believe I know it, but I'd like to make a brief point. But I want to make sure I'm correct first.
Your score was 31-27.
I would have been right if Patrick Mahomes hits Jerick McKinnon, or maybe would have been right if Andy Reid goes for it on fourth down.
My score was 31-24. Beards' was 3-2. Mick, what'd you have?
27-24, I believe, right? Just the wrong teams.
So you got it wrong.
Spots.
So you got it wrong like everybody else.
I was less wrong than you guys. And I did preface it saying I really want to pick the Bengals.
Because you like them. You're a fan of them.
Huge fan, yeah.
You shouldn't have worn your Bengals jersey in here.
I mean, if there was like anything on the line here, I would have gone Bengals.
If it mattered.
Why don't we let Mick do a round of zone predictions next week? Because we are so bad at it for our video.
For us?
Yeah. You can pick for the zone on our predictions video that we do every week. All the shows have a rotating cast of characters. Beard has been all right. Jason and I have been a smoldering crater. We're just burning fake money over there.
You've been Buzz's girlfriend.
For how many games?
Chiefs over under, Chiefs money or Chiefs point spread, and then one other point spread from anywhere in the NFL that week.
Yeah.
Jason and I believe our last two times out have each lost our entire budget of $100 fake.
Chiefs never cover.
Well, you can choose either side.
Like
you can choose either side. You can choose,
but not to cover.
But I picked the Chiefs. No, I did win the Chiefs covering against the. Didn't I do Rams last week?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I did Rams last week, so I had Chiefs to cover. So I got that right. But I only But I only put like $10 on the Chiefs covering because I wasn't confident about that. I was confident about the over, which did not hit.
We've had our issues this year.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Bring in a ringer.
I was also confident when the Chiefs were down 14-3 that I went ahead and placed a little wager on Chiefs plus 165 at that point just to win outright. I'm like, when's the next time you're going to get the Chiefs plus 165 with still 3.5 quarters to play? Or it felt like, 3 quarters to play. Like, I don't know that that's going to happen again. I'll go ahead and take my chances that the Chiefs find a way to get this done. It's very early in the game. They could have. Some would say they should have. But they did not have.
All three of those games.
They lost all three by a total of 9 points. 9 points.
This was the one they had the smallest lead, right? Because they were up 11, I think, at one point in that
game in Cincinnati,
the regular season game, and then of course up 18,
21-3
in Kansas City, and this one was 7, I believe, was the biggest lead, right?
What was it?
24-17.
4-17.
Then the Bengals scored the last 10 points,
and then they got the ball back, still with the lead. The defense held the Bengals to a field goal, but they couldn't hold him out of the end zone and couldn't hold him from the field goal.
Couldn't hold him to the ball.
Couldn't hold him to the ball.
That's holding
also
issue.
a big part of that as well. So we've obviously talked a lot about that over the course of the show today, and had Field Yates on. Heard from Andy Reid as well, weighing in, and heard from Mick Shaffer for a few minutes, weighing in on that. We got some great nuggets from Mick in his few minutes.
If there's one thing I bring to the show every time, it's my nuggets.
Mixed nuggets, baby.
Great nuggets that he brings to the show. So there's about 50 different things we could talk about with the Chiefs that we did talk about. But there is a victory over the weekend. And that's Mizzou beating Southeast Missouri State in basketball. Let's get into it, everybody.
90-point game,
Look,
man.
I'm accused of if Mizzou does anything good, I'll still ignore anybody else and only talk Mizzou. That I didn't mention K-State today, apparently, even though we started the show talking about it. But I didn't mention K-State, but I'll be damned if Missouri did something, then Jason would have spent the first hour and ignored the Chiefs. So let's talk Mizzou and Southeast Missouri State. Are you worried that a slight win against SEMO is just a precursor of them really getting run out of the gym on Saturday against KU? Because that's concerning. Their defense giving up way too many points. Can you break that down for me, Mick? And then we'll get to KU football and their bowl against Liberty, Missouri football, and then we'll get into Chiefs and Bengals.
I actually watched most of that game yesterday. Because I work on Sundays and we have like 6 TVs going.
I've got 3 I didn't watch.
And we ran highlights.
I've got 3 TVs.
And they were putting them away.
I'm just joking.
And then they let them back in.
I don't want you to talk about it. I don't care.
Okay. I kind of like Dennis Gates' approach of like, listen,
just score a bunch of points and you let them
play defense, okay?
Everybody's going to score.
But we're getting shots up. I think sometimes they don't even bring that 5th defender across half court to play defense. He just stays in cherry pick mode.
This is. I'm just gesturing at Beards because I was hoping you would say the phrase cherry pick mode. Oh. It's Beards' favorite form of basketball.
Look, Dennis Gates plays basketball.
It should be done a lot more.
A Friday night.
And that's how soccer should be played,
on
too.
Mixed cul-de-sac.
Yes.
Everybody scores.
Oh, yep. Or cherry picking.
It's a fun game. It was a really, really entertaining game.
And we have no defense for it, just like Missouri.
In Dallas. That's right. They literally have no defense. Down in Dallas, a fun game, entertaining game, a game that went back and forth. When that game started, I thought, oh no, K-State might be in trouble because TCU pounded Iowa State last week, and they're out to show that they're some reason the team that everybody's picking against. And did K-State end up being favored in that game before the game started? I think they.
Ooh, not that I saw, but
it was like a 2-point like TCU.
It was
thing,
2 or something. It was 2.5. There was something before, and maybe it might have been a different game yesterday that I was looking at, that there was a team 2 days ago that was the dog, and then day of ended up being the favorite. So, yep, K-State finished -1 at kickoff. K-State was a 1-point favorite at kickoff. And so TCU has this, we're undefeated. We're the ones getting picked against and doubted for, 12 weeks this year we've been doubted. And they came out, and it looked like they had the juice.
That first
drive, it was like, for K-State. But I feel like that game is sort of a microcosm of Chris Kleiman's program in just steady as she goes, just continuing to move forward. You cut into the TCU momentum and hype. You score. You get the ball back. You score. By the way, going forward on 4th and 1 and scoring the touchdown for Kleiman, getting a touchdown on that drive where they went forward on 4th and 1 to tie it up. Could have kicked a field goal. Said, you know what? We need points. TCU came out. They look good. We need points here. No. 4th and 1. Let's go for it. Let's do it. And he went forward a number of times in the game, and so did Sonny Dykes.
It was like a Chiefs game
right before half.
It was like a Chiefs game that the K-State controlled that game almost.
It felt like outside of the first drive.
Quarters.
Outside of the first drive from TCU, I felt like K-State controlled that game.
They absolutely did, and probably should have won by more. But then you let them back in. You have a muff punt, right? You have I still maintain a bad call on the knocking the ball out of the quarterback's hands and. The safety, they're calling on an incomplete pass.
I don't understand the ruling. I know the rule book, and I know what the rule says, but if the ball never leaves the quarterback's hand and touches a defender and immediately lands 5 yards behind him.
I mean, if it's how
is that an incomplete pass
if it lands behind you?
This should be K-State's ball. I mean,
by the rule that was an intended pass. Every pump fake is an intended pass. Right. You pump fake the ball, and if you get stripped at that moment, you can say, "Oh nope, hey, that's an incompletion. Go ahead, we'll go ahead and play second down now." He took the ball out of his hand and it moved it backwards.
That's the biggest part for me. If it lands forwards and it knocked out, I'm like,
sure,
okay, I guess we're talking. It's going forward. But I mean, a pass, which they called an incomplete pass that lands behind you. is a fumble. It's a live ball.
That didn't go forward out of the hand first. So
No,
I can
no, it
understand
never
if
left
it
the hand.
leaves the hand,
it's
hits it, goes
incomplete.
backwards. Yeah, totally understandable. But I'm trying to find I got tweeted the actual breakdown of the rule.
I saw it too, but I feel like
And I just
even
wanna
that,
read it just
that
to-
rule doesn't
yeah.
explain everything that happened in that play. A play I've never seen before.
I would have guessed, just as the Kentucky Mizzou the punt thing, like I would have guessed 30 yards behind the punter, you don't get protection of in the box, which is really just in, as I've said, the what is it, the tunnel?
Yeah, the
It's
tackle
tunnel is what it is. It's not the tackle box, the tackle tunnel. Gosh, and now I can't find.
Well, that was one of those games. You keep looking. That was one of those games where the retired referee in the booth with them didn't give referees a good didn't give them a good reputation. One of those where he was like getting a lot, like at the end when TCU is going to score, he's like, man, it looks like he got that ball over the goal line. I'm like, okay, that sky cam isn't right over the goal line. It's behind there, right? And so it's obviously not an angle where you can tell correctly. And he was so obviously short. But I still think I got that wrong.
I think K-State might have touched the ball last. I mean, if the ball comes out of the hand of the defender, how is it a pass?
I don't think the arm moving forward thing at all matters, or the open hand, or what we always debate is is his arm moving forward when that ball leaves his hand and lands forward, which is usually the argument. Okay,
yeah, propel the ball forward.
Is the arm moving forward when it slips out and goes forward? Is an incomplete pass or a fumble? That's a totally different deal there. That is a ball getting knocked out of somebody's hands backwards.
And such a cool play. Like you mentioned, you've never seen it before. None of us have ever seen this before that I can think of. I want those to get rewarded if the rule doesn't fully cover it.
It's like a basketball play.
Yes.
Blocked it.
Yes, it was absolutely. It was a basketball rip.
Article 2A. A pass is forward if the ball strikes the ground, a player, an official, or anything else beyond the spot where the ball is released. All other passes are backward passes. When in question, a pass thrown in or behind the neutral zone is forward rather than a backward pass, exception games using instant replay. When a Team A player is holding the ball to pass it forward toward the neutral zone, any intentional forward movement of the passer's hand with the ball firmly in their control starts the forward pass unless the player clearly starts to bring the ball back with firm control to the passer's body. If a Team B player contacts the passer or ball after forward movement begins and the ball leaves the passer's hand, a forward pass is ruled regardless of where the ball strikes the ground.
I don't think that explains that, because I think that's still assuming the quarterback released the ball, which he did not.
Also,
do there.
if you watch as well, as he's moving forward, he then starts to stop.
Yeah.
And that would fall into the unless the player clearly starts to bring the ball back with firm control to the passer's body. It's not to the body, but he is almost like that was a pump fake and starts to bring it back, and then it's hit and goes back. The whole thing was screwy, and I'm glad K-State won, because that would have been a pretty sour way for you to not get a game-changing play that you made the play on Duggan, and yet some weird, odd rule says, no, it's an incomplete pass, and they get the ball right back.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, they never legislate, okay, which way is the arm moving? Is it moving in the direction of a forward pass or something? Because if that same thing happened and he's looking to make like a swing pass sideways, what do you call it? Because his arm's going sideways there. I mean, it's not going forward. I'm sure there have been plenty of times where wind's been involved where his arm's going forward slightly to throw it maybe 2 yards down the field, and the ball gets blown backwards, and it's called a live ball and fumble. So I don't think the arm moving forward on basically a fumble matters.
I was going to have a lot of fun with this rule
when it lands behind you
during the Cleveland and Houston Texans game, because Deshaun Watson had a pass attempt where he was getting ready to throw it, and then he started to pull it back and pump fake, and the ball slipped out of his hands, and it went straight to his left, about 7 yards to his left, and then immediately bounced towards the end zone. The Texans pick it up and run for a touchdown. It's called a touchdown and a backward pass on the field. They later go, after further discussion, the ball was a forward pass. it landed about a half yard in front of where he released the ball. But I was going to have so much fun with that if it landed either lateral or behind. Like, whoa, no. His arm was clearly moving forward when he threw that ball. How could it putt? And he was trying to bring the ball back. How could that possibly be a fumble?
Here's an
He just lost
example
the ball.
we've seen a lot. I can
Tuck
remember
rule.
a handful of times you've seen a player throw and it just slips out of his hands as he's going forward and it goes backwards, and that's a fumble. That's
empty palm.
Yeah,
it's the empty palm rule to where the ball's already out of his hand, but it's like
it went backwards.
If he's, I mean, yeah. It would have been a lot more of a conversation around that game had they lost. Kind of like how is this punt? How do you get the protection there as the punter? But
Anyway.
That's what happens for one team. Where it's like, how does this screwy play hurt you and you lost? Versus K-State that wins the Big 12 and in dramatic fashion.
And look, I think Duggan's a heck of a player.
Dude,
2 years ago, I took the boys down to watch Oklahoma State and TCU. I think in his freshman year, he'd made a couple starts, and he was atrocious. One of my sons after the game was like, how does Duggan get like a scholarship?
Does he have a scholarship?
I'm like,
your son wanted Duggan to have a scholarship.
And so first of all, he's built right. He's just kind of a linebacker playing quarterback. But I feel like he was kind of like Tiger Woods U.S. opening it a lot of times when he knew the camera was on and oh, it really hurts. I'm going to get up and run 30 yards. And then, it plays over. Oh, I can barely move my body.
In the end zone, I'm going to take an extra beat here on the paint.
Looking up. Okay, how many cameras are? Okay.
Yeah. Situational awareness.
Damn, I was gonna talk about how he got beat up and what it looked like.
He was bleeding out of several spots on his body. It's impressive.
He was leaking blood at different spots. Like, he was a car that had been through.
He was running like a 4.4 and wrecking dudes during the play. After the play, it was like Jim Brown after he got up after every play. Right? Like a World Cup soccer player after somebody.
I thought,
Jesse Bates.
Who was
Jesse Bates? Exactly.
Unbelievable.
That's got to be fined. I mean, you got to. They're doing that in basketball. You got to do that in football.
I thought that who was the running back for TCU that got stopped on 3rd and 4th down? And what Sonny Dykes said, the 3rd and 4th down calls had to do with Max Duggan being beat up and not necessarily going with a quarterback sneak or a bootleg or having him just sort of run it. I thought the 3rd down play he got in. It looked like the arm had extended over the goal line, and then his own player kicked the ball loose. But
I didn't because, like I said, that camera
it's not directly
over.
Right,
and if it's behind a little bit, it's going to look like he gets to the line before he does.
It looked so close to where what's crazy is like that scores if his own lineman's leg doesn't come and kick the ball loose. I mean, that is a touchdown if it doesn't happen. But it wasn't even close on the 4th down. That was just K-State just stuffing it on 4th down, which that was the play I was surprised that they didn't go like a bootleg, sneak out like a tight end and put Duggan in space and say, well, I'll throw it or I'll just run it and dive and just continue to do this heroic stuff. And when he got stopped, it was like K-State's winning they're winning the Big 12.
When they went for it, I'm like, that's the only option you have to go for. Did you want them to go for it? Did you think they should?
No, I think just kick. I think as often as you can get a kicker on the field, you should do it pretty much every time.
For somebody like myself that had the over 60, I would have rather them kick the field goal and then K-State kick a field goal to get to 62 and then figure it out in double overtime at that point.
I also wonder if this factored in at all to Sonny Dykes and the coaching staff. We're going to overtime in the Big 12 championship game. A lot of people have already said, even if we lose this game, we're in the playoff. We're in overtime with a team we've already beat.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to make that case.
And by losing this game,
everybody.
And by losing this game, this team's going to be in the top 10. Yeah. So our one loss is going to be a team in the top 10 that we already beat as well.
We're going to go for it here. We're not going to be afraid of losing here. We're going to go after it.
And I think 4th and 1 at the goal line in overtime. I know that if you don't get it, it's a field goal, but I think that's a go for it every time.
Well, especially the way that game had gone. I mean, they were picking up that kind of yardage. And it's been a long game. That defense is gassed, but they made a hell of a play.
Right, and see, that's a good point, is because Duggan gets all of the, boy, he was so beat up and so gassed. Yeah, because K-State was fresh.
Yeah.
K-State's defense was just fresh and tidy, and it was like U.S. men's national team. Just, okay, so here comes Gio. Here comes Wright, just fresh legs running on. K-State's entire defense, just all fresh legs running out there to play. They were also gassed. They also had 11 points scored on them the previous 2 drives at the end of regulation. Now they're down at second and goal, or I guess third and goal from the 1, because the second and goal was Duggan diving for the end zone and falls, a half yard short or whatever it was. So they had 2 downs from the 1 yard line to stop TCU after 3 possessions of giving up a field goal, touchdown 2-point conversion, this drive in overtime, and they manned up twice. Like, that's part of the takeaway, even with, Duggan was so heroic in the loss and the effort, and they deserve to be in the college football playoff. I'm glad the committee put him in.
Proud of the committee. I'm very surprised, too.
Yeah.
Because, once again, Saban gets a mouthpiece at halftime of which game was it? Was it the Big Ten game they had him
Big
on?
Ten game. It was the Michigan and Purdue
he's so
game.
good at, like, he's going to campaign for his team. And half the stuff he points out, I'm like, that's dumb. And what about the other side of that? What about your wins, and not just focus on the 2 losses of 4 points? But he knows the game, and I thought Sonny Dykes was not great afterward, kind of campaigning for TCU. I'm like, oh, here you go. This is it. But it turns out K-State was going to be in the Sugar Bowl probably no matter what.
Yeah.
And TCU was going to be the 3 seed apparently no matter what. We didn't even play that game.
Unless when K-State was up 11, if they were to do Michigan to Purdue or Michigan to Ohio State and just TCU starting to just get desperate and K-State scores a couple more touchdowns, that might have been convincing enough to them go.
I think once overtime hit, they were going to be it. I thought they would slip to 4. Obviously, the USC lost there.
Yeah, which is what happened. By the way, the USC game, that's the one I should point out, because Michigan pulling away from Ohio State, that's fine. But USC wins, and they're going to be in the playoff.
Now there's like 2 spots for your margin of error instead of 1.
But if USC were to lose close, there was talk of, do they get in because their second data point loss came in a game that Ohio State didn't have to play in a championship. If they lose close, no, they didn't lose close, because USC started getting desperate, started going oh my God, we're losing, and Utah started going, yeah, we're going to punk you, and we're going to continue shoving it down your throat. And TCU didn't let K-State do that. If that happened, I would be curious to see what the 4 teams in the playoff would be today if they would have found a reason to put Alabama in there and TCU number 5 and go, well, TCU, they played so many close games, they found ways to win, but K-State just beating them like they did. You can make a case that K-State should have beat them the first go around. That would be 2 losses for TCU, which is what we just think that they could have found a way to explain away TCU being left out and Alabama in there, but they didn't. They fought back and got into overtime, and at that point, it should have been TCU getting in and K-State getting ready for Alabama.
It's a storied tradition in college football. Teams not winning their division getting to go to the college football playoff and the national championship game, a la Nebraska about 20 years ago. And I think Oklahoma did
Miami,
Yeah, and then Alabama one year didn't.
Alabama won the national championship without winning their division.
Yep, 2011. I remember that. The team that got 3rd was Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it was BS. Oklahoma State should have been in there.
And so I was happy that the committee, which will be very different, I guess, in a couple of years. They'll be at least including a lot more teams, and I cannot wait for that. Proud of college football for kind of accelerating that. I figured, 2032, that's when we'll do the playoff.
Of note, conference championship automatic qualifiers, K-State's in the tournament.
K-State is in.
K-State's in the playoff today if this was 2 years from now.
And probably,
by the way,
with a great chance, let's see, they would have been, if they're the 9 seed, right, which is where they finished, and the top 4 get buys, you're going to have them playing the 8 seed, right, which was Utah's pretty good, but hey, roll with it.
Give it a chance.
Yeah,
who cares?
Roll with it.
Who cares? Utah's good. Cool. It's the playoff.
Yes, exactly.
Alabama's also good, and they're in the Sugar Bowl. The season's still over there.
In college football, there aren't going to be many Pittsburgh Steelers getting into the playoffs like last year, where it's like, this team made it somehow. They're going to get smoked by 30, but they made it. Good for you. The old pat on the back. Nice job. Kleiman's going to have K-State in the playoff. I mean, this is a K-State program that will win the Big 12 with Chris Kleiman and be in the college football playoff.
Are you saying pre-expansion or post-expansion?
Probably post.
I'll post.
I'll go.
I wanted to clarify.
They're not doing it next year.
Yeah, I had to think I'm like, could they do it next year? Like, I don't even know. I haven't began looking at the rosters and all of that stuff, but in 2 years when it actually starts, automatic qualifier for the conference. Yeah, I think K-State's going to be playing in the playoff.
No doubt.
Because I don't believe in Cincinnati and Scott Satterfield. How about
Why
that
not?
Story? That is an amazing story. If people did not see this today, The Louisville coach took the Cincinnati job today. Louisville's playing Cincinnati in the bowl game.
No way.
Louisville is playing Cincinnati in the bowl game, and the Louisville coach, Scott Satterfield, who was the App State coach when Eli was the offensive coordinator, and then Satterfield left for Louisville. Eli Drinkwitz got the head coaching job at App State, and then the Mizzou job. He just took the Cincinnati job, which I'm not sure what Cincinnati wanted. Louisville was going to fire him. So good for him in what Doug Gottlieb called resetting the shot clock for the coach. So you're still collecting a check. You're going to be in a Power 5 program, and you reset the shot clock. You got another 4 years where you're getting a nice paycheck. And now the team you're joining, are you going to
coach either one? Probably best to just sit that one out.
Can't imagine. And the best part is it shouldn't be the best part, but just perfect college football business. This morning, all the Louisville players are tweeting out, what? Hold on. Found out this morning on Twitter like everybody else. Found out on Twitter like everybody else that their coach was taking the Cincinnati job. Who they're playing in the bowl. That's just unbelievable
They didn't
story.
skip the post-game news conference like the Jackson State players did.
Yeah.
Because Dion was telling them.
I know. Which, by the way, we can get into that because, boy, Colorado is going to be fun.
How about that for an intro meet and greet with your players?
I think that happens a lot, by the way. I think there are a lot of coaches that sort of.
Oh, I think people come in and like, I'm bringing guys in or whatever.
Ripped off the wall.
But it's not, they're not that honest about it in front of everybody.
Where, I'm bringing luggage with me.
It's Louis.
And it's Louis. And go to the portal. I mean, that happens in private conversations a lot.
Yeah.
Where you have the individual meetings. You might want to look somewhere else. I don't think you fit in our plans. Yeah. But that being recorded and oh boy. Colorado is going to be interesting, and maybe Matt Rule succeeds at Nebraska. I think they made a good hire in Matt Rule. But if Matt Rule did not get fired in Carolina, a program that had success at one point and was struggling to find footing and was sort of middle of the pack, but they've got some things to recruit to, and they're a bigger Power 5 program, bigger as in like they're a Power 5 school, should have been lining up to sign Dion, to hire him. Colorado did, and all of the conversation is transfer portal is buzzing with wanting to go to Colorado. He was they broke the news he was taking the Colorado job. An hour later, the number 2 wide receiver in the country decommitted from A&M and committed to Colorado.
Wow.
An hour later.
Wow.
There have been over 200 players in the portal that have reached out to Colorado already in about 24 hours. If you're Colorado, I mean, maybe he fails, but he's going to get some players. He's going to get some people to Colorado. And by the way, what a great campus to recruit to. I mean, by the way, look at the mountains. It's beautiful. Now let's go play Power 5 football. We're still in Pac-12, whatever. Colorado's going to be fascinating to watch. Dion's going to be fascinating to watch. And he's going to be entertaining. And by the way, he even said it. It was a 60 Minutes interview he did like a month ago when they said, when it was talking about Jackson State and what he's doing with HBCUs, and they said, bringing the attention to the HBCUs and having maybe more of an option. What happens if a bigger school comes and calls? He goes, I'd have to entertain it. He goes, I absolutely have to entertain it.
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a lot of things that goes on in life, but I would be stupid to not entertain an offer from a bigger school if they're going to come calling. Why would I not?
As long as you also do that for kids who would like to get transferred to a better situation at a bigger school.
Absolutely.
Just got to have that same energy for the players.
I would agree. He better, because he's going to be working in the portal a lot.
Well, are they good enough? I mean, if they're good enough.
Right, absolutely.
Not just him. I mean, in general, if you go, Dion, well, that's the capitalistic ladder we'd all climb.
Yeah.
Got to also
play. And by the way, when we point out others, I don't think everything should be made one way or another of just anecdotal stories, but good on Will Howard for not transferring. When Adrian Martinez came in, he didn't portal transfer. He didn't get out of there, and now he's a Big 12 champion quarterback. So there are anecdotal stories in different sides. Joe Burrow, maybe we don't hear from him if he doesn't go to LSU. If he stays at Ohio State, maybe it's, damn it. Now I'm thinking of a world where Joe Burrow's just some random quarterback as a backup somewhere and not the quarterback of the Bengals. You son of a gun. To hell with you, Edo! Let's take a timeout. Learn funny is best next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly. and at Sports Radio 810.
Red Monday is brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System, the official healthcare provider of the Chiefs. If you have an urgent orthopedic or sports injury, the University of Kansas Health System can see you quickly. Request an appointment at kansashealthsystem.com/sportsmedicine.
At Bobside Kia, we're continuing our tradition of great customer service as Kansas City's oldest family-owned Kia dealer.
Reserve your new incoming vehicle at Bobside Independence Kia.
And that's no BS.
Is this where I say brilliant?
Bobside Independence Kia, no BS.
Get ready for Monday Night Football with the KC Legends Show hosted by Bill Moss, live from Barstool Sportsbook inside Hollywood Casino. Bill's special guest this week is former Chiefs tight end Keith Cash. They'll break down the Chiefs and Bengals, look ahead to the rest of the schedule, and get you ready for the Saints and Bucks on Monday Night Football. There's no better place than Barstool Sportsbook inside Hollywood Casino to place your bets. Featuring 16 betting kiosks, 5 betting windows, and 45 HD TVs. Come check it out with the KC Legends Show tonight at 6 on ESPN Kansas City 94.5 FM.
We tried Dynovite for gut health and immune support, and after a couple of weeks, our little Gizmo was acting like a puppy again. His coat was shinier, he had a lot less scratching and shedding, and he seemed like his happy old self.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Get 10% off your next order of Dynovite nutritional supplements for dogs at Dynovite.com.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Have you checked out Brobeck's Barbecue? It's the best little smokehouse in Kansas City. They have daily lunch specials and are the home of Kansas City's own smoky ham salad. Call 913-901-9700 or online at brobecksbbq.com. Brobeck's Barbecue, the best little smokehouse in Kansas City.
My partners had told me I should get my knee replaced. I was in my 40s, and I decided that I wouldn't do that.
That's orthopedic surgeon Dr. John Herzog, who found regenerative medicine years ago and became a believer.
It changed my life around. It improved me to a point where I was able to jog again.
That's when Dr. Herzog switched his focus from surgery to helping his patients with natural biologics.
I've treated at least 5,000 patients. I believe your body has everything it needs to heal itself.
Today, you'll find Dr. Herzog at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in this exciting field of medicine that can give lasting pain relief with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery.
I have patients coming up to me that I did 10 years ago saying, you know, Doc, my elbow's still working great. I'm playing tennis 3 days a week.
Call QC Kinetics now to explore alternative ways to deal with your pain. It's a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Besa May Wellness is ready to welcome you in this holiday season with their award-winning service. That's right, they just won Best Customer Service for the second year running in the Pitch KC. Come in and see why they want to welcome everyone to the Besa May Wellness family and their carefully curated wide variety of products. Order easily from the comfort of your home with their app, making pickup or home delivery right to your door even easier. Visit BesaMayWellness.com. Download the Besa May app or experience the best this industry has to offer for the second year running at one of their 5 metro area locations. Besa May Wellness, where cannabis meets hospitality.
Save big on everything for your home now at Menards. Make sure you and your family are always breathing safe, clean air with DuPont air filters. They can reduce harmful airborne particles by up to 80%, providing your home with healthy, comfortable air. We carry a variety of sizes in stock to fit your furnace. Pick up an air filter today for only $2.99 after mail-in rebate. Plus, a Menards gift card is always a great gift idea.
Johnny's Tavern, Kansas City's premier sports bar. They serve up the best burgers, pizza, and wings in town. Catch all your favorite teams every day at any of their 12 metro locations. Find all of their locations at johnnystavern.com and enjoy the many patios. Johnny's Tavern, serving up traditions since 1953.
Football season is underway, so now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back. If your first bet doesn't win, just sign up with the promo code WIN. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. So sign up today with promo code WIN for your no-sweat first bet. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Must be present in state where lawful to wager. 21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. Arizona 1-800-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Indiana, Kansas 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. Louisiana 1-877-770-STOP. New York 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. Wyoming, West Virginia 1-800-522-4700 or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Do you guys want a teaser for the cuts that we'll get to later?
Yes.
By chance?
Yes.
They might or might not involve some McNipples later.
Okay.
McNipples.
Like mixed nipples or a McNipple? Is that like
Could I get a large unsweetened tea and some McNipples?
Take
You want 6 or 12?
Take a Big Mac and
6 count
honey.
McNipple.
Do you want the Mc? Yeah, let's get 2 McNipples. We got a coupon.
Kids? No? Okay, no big deal. Nope. All right, just
Want honey mustard or sweat with that?
Kids want a McNipple.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, let's get to a Learn Funniest Best right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. What we learned from the weekend, funniest from the weekend, best from the weekend. I learned that I forgot about that, and I really love that returner. That's what I learned. I like it a lot. 913-912-4810. So this wasn't going to be my learn, but I learned it's not a good idea to be a crypto billionaire.
Yeah.
Since today
another one,
a 4th crypto billionaire was found dead.
Oh, whoa!
Dead?
What? Who?
A 4th crypto billionaire.
I heard about the one who scammed all the athletes. I think he's still breathing, though, right?
Yeah, but there's
Mick.
now,
That's not specific enough. I don't know.
4th crypto billionaire found dead near a beach in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Roughly 24 years old. Most of them are like in their 20s.
Okay.
Wow.
Probably doesn't pay right now to be a crypto. You know what? That sounds cool to be a billionaire.
It does pay, just in a different currency.
Good call. It does sound cool though. Like, oh man, be a billionaire. Doesn't sound cool to be dead though.
Can I get the billionaire part and not the dead part?
Yeah, you know what? Can you pick and choose?
Yeah. Can I itemize this?
Can I get the billionaire part without the crypto part?
Yeah. Can I get the Mick without the nipple?
Maybe like money. They found a new way to breathe.
Oh, could be awesome.
Breathe chain.
So what I learned over the weekend, and I'm
bit oxygen.
I'm kind of I forgot that this was what I wrote down for learned, or I would not have mentioned it there at the end of the segment. What I learned is how crazy Colorado football is going to be for the next couple of years, because of all of the portal stuff that's going on, and Deion Sanders and the video that comes out of him essentially telling his players, like, look, man, I'm coming and I'm bringing my own luggage, and it's Louis Vuitton. And
you know, it took me so long to figure out what he's talking about there.
There were people in the replies of that tweet like, "Who's Lewis? The only Lewis I know."
Yeah, because I read it
is
first
Lewis
as
Vuitton.
Lewis. I didn't hear it first. I read it, and it's Lewis.
And it's Lewis.
Oh, is he a really good quarterback in the portal or something like that?
Is it Lewis Sanders?
Is there a
Lewis
Jones?
Is it Lewis from Christmas Vacation who had his he was on fire? Lewis,
Uncle Lewis.
So,
is it Haley Lewis?
This came out yesterday.
It's Haley Louis.
This came out yesterday, right after the wide receiver had committed to Colorado. Says, a source at Colorado tells me over 200 recruits and portal transfers have already reached out in the last 12 hours. Some of them are 4- and 5-star caliber players. Deion Sanders has a chance to make some noise before signing day. NIL money is also rolling in with the alums, I'm told. Source said, I've never seen anything like this in my time here. Fast. That's what I learned, is that if you're going to make a splash and win the press conference, does it then result in continually making a splash and winning after that? And I was sort of bringing it up with, Nebraska got Matt Rule. I hope it works out great. If Matt Rule's at Carolina, then I think Nebraska should have been doing whatever it took to get Deion Sanders as well. Because here's the thing, if Deion fails, over the next 3 years, kids will be talking about Colorado. They would have taken trips to Colorado. They would have seen Colorado on TV because he's going to get some primetime games on television with Colorado. If he succeeds, you've just done it well enough to where another Power 5 team is going to take you from Colorado to there, which means you were winning games at Colorado or Nebraska. So I hope it works because I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great to watch. And,
it could be fun either way.
It's going to be a great litmus test in that, like, maybe he's a great coach, but I've always thought of him way more of a recruiter, and that probably wins out a lot of times because it's Jimmy's and Joe's, right? And if you surround your guys yourself with, excellent offensive and defensive coordinator and coaches, I mean, he could win quick just like he did at Jackson State.
He seems to be as real as it gets, like to your face. The conversation he had with the players, the interview where he said, yes, I absolutely will entertain an offer from a different school. Are you kidding me? Yes. Him, whether it was embarrassing or people liked it, didn't like it, calling out the reporter for code switching when he was doing the interview, and a lot of people felt uncomfortable with it. But he was right to the guy's face about, come on, man. If you're going to act like this off the air, don't all of a sudden change your approach on the air. Just be you. He's going to be real right to your face. We'll see. Josh, learned?
I learned that the Panthers released quarterback Baker Mayfield today.
What?
I also learned that the Chiefs can't beat the Bengals. And I also learned that Baker Mayfield is 6-2 versus the Bengals in his career. So what I really learned is that it's time for the Chiefs to fix their Bengals problem by signing Baker Mayfield. He only plays games against the Bengals, otherwise it's Patrick Mahomes. But against the Bengals, better record, checkmate for D-Chess.
In baseball, you can do matchups. You can bring a pitcher on for this particular guy.
Maybe just your opener.
Chiefs don't have a Bengals problem. They got a Baker problem.
Exactly.
That's it.
What'd you learn, Mick?
I learned that high school football success in states does not translate necessarily to college football success in states, in that not only was TCU the first Texas school in 9 years and 9 playoffs to make the playoffs. TCU is the first school from Texas to make the playoffs. There's been only one Florida school to make the playoffs. And who do we think? Texas, Florida, California, the best high school football.
Yeah.
0 California schools have made the playoff.
Wow.
There you go.
I learned that just now, too. That's fascinating.
You taught us today, Mick.
Thanks.
Yes. And a California team didn't make it because of Utah over the weekend. Beards, what'd you learn?
I learned that I had to delete all my sad Bengals fans comments from yesterday, and now I get to go and do sad Chiefs fans comments, and I'm working through that.
I just
I
learned
get
that
3
we do
sad
have
Chiefs fans right here.
Yep. Not sad.
It's gonna be a
Bengals
good time.
fans. Oh, that sucks.
It's never going to see the light of day. None of the Bengals stuff.
Oh, that's too bad. Funniest for you, Josh. You'll start this one.
Nothing now. My funniest is Andrew Perloff, at least formerly of the Dan Patrick Show, McLovin. He tweeted out a screenshot of the College Football Playoff Committee watching the games on Saturday. They're all in this golden room. There's not a notepad or laptop to be found. They're in what appear to be deeply uncomfortable chairs. Basically, it looks like a hospital waiting room where you'd have Family Feud on the 12-inch TV up in the corner while you wait to get some terrible news. That's what the College Football Committee looked like in this game.
My basement is a lot cooler place to watch than that place.
They were having the least fun of anyone in America watching K-State TCU.
Who tweeted this out?
And you can, some really intrepid comedian in a penguin costume quote tweeted it on the day. But Andrew Perloff.
So you tweeted it too?
I did. I quote tweeted it at the time. But
at
Andrew Perloff. Well, I can just, if you'd like to just see the image to
nope, I want to look at it myself.
Well, I think just the 1:43 p.m. means we probably ought to just look at the image in front of you that I'm holding up so we can keep it moving. Nope, good. Okay, very good.
Ignoring it because I'm going to find it myself. When did you tweet this? I'm looking for it right
Saturday.
now.
I tweet a lot, Jason. Tweet a lot. Lot of scrolling.
It's going to be a
lot of scrolling. You know what? I'm going to set the computer there, so if you look at me, you'll have to look through that to see it.
What was your funniest, Mick?
My funniest from the weekend was Jalen Carter of Georgia, who's going to be one of the top draft picks probably in the NFL draft coming up in April in Kansas City.
What?
He sacked Daniels, the quarterback for LSU. Did you see it? He picks him up with his right arm, and they blow the whistle, so he's not going to take him down to the ground. So he literally has him picked up, and he throws up the number 1 with his left hand. And in the air, Daniels, who's being picked up, actually starts laughing as Carter's picking up this other gigantic human and walking around with him. And maybe he could follow the Chiefs. But I doubt it. I think he's going to be one of the top guys.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice to go and get a pass.
He was on the ground. 88 was on it. The pass rusher was on his knees and got up while picking up the quarterback. This is unbelievable. Somebody's draft this guy.
With one arm.
He's got two arms, though, if you draft him. He only did that with one arm. Okay.
Yes, he
That's
sacked with
incredible.
just one arm.
Yeah, okay.
He celebrated with the other.
I'm just wondering if somebody
Can you
tuned in.
imagine how good he'd be if he used both arms?
I just wonder if somebody tuned in and they heard Josh say, somebody should draft this guy, and you go, with one arm. He has two, but he was just saying that's what he did that play with.
Be a good story.
Yeah.
Funniest
Also
for
a
you,
cheese pass rush.
Beards.
I think this was Sunday or Saturday. I don't remember which. There was a Kings versus Clippers game in L.A.
Hell yeah.
And Light the Beam chants started breaking out as the Kings were winning that game.
You do
On
love
the
that.
road?
You do love that.
On the road? They got
On
Light the
road.
Beam? Oh.
You do love that beam.
I pretend I know what that means.
Love the beam.
You do love the
what we
beam.
do.
The Kings victory beam. They shoot a purple light into the sky whenever they win.
Yeah, that's
It was like
times
Mace
a year?
Windu's lightsaber.
That was the joke. Yeah, is that they hardly ever do it, but now Beards is obsessed with it.
The beam.
It's a great idea.
My funniest is transfer portal opening up, and Dominic Lovett, who was already reported was going to transfer, he put out the statement in his transfer that says, I would like to thank the University of Missouri and Coach Drinkwitz for giving me the opportunity to pursue my academic and football goals. I wouldn't change these past 2 years, friends, experience, ups and downs, highs and lows, nor the wins or losses. It all has brought me to my current level. On December 5th, 2022, I will officially enter the transfer portal. With that being said, let's drop our nuts and continue to play football.
Let's go.
Dominic Lovett.
Let's go. Local school had to be recruiting him. Number 2 to Luther Burden could be nice. Oh, no.
What was the best for you, Mick? What was your best?
The best for me, listen, Sports Illustrated tweeted it out, so it's got to have some validity. If it was anybody else, I would be looking for the edits and say no way. But Steph Curry hit 5 full-court shots in a row.
Hey, Mick.
After practice.
I stopped watching after the first one because I thought it
fake.
was fake.
Me too. I did the same thing.
I just stopped watching.
How do you know?
It's fake.
He was there.
It's a play on it's a play on a LeBron commercial that came out years ago where he was hitting all the half court shots.
But
in
that
a
was
row.
real.
That one was also fake, Jason.
What?
How did they edit it?
Hey, with a computer.
See,
They didn't
a
do it
lot
like
of
real
people
to real
made
with
the
the-
deal like it's fake, but okay, how? Because I'm looking at everything, and why would Sports Illustrated?
Well, because
that out?
because they're not sports animated.
It's good point. He's the only guy in the world that I would believe
That
can
is
do
true.
that.
Absolutely.
That's the
You
only
have
guy.
that moment of, was this real? But no, it's
Yeah.
fake.
No, and I'm usually cynical on those things.
I'm with you, man. You are the only guy in the world who would believe that. Is that what you said?
If he were to be throwing those or shooting them where it was almost close to like a shot he would take in a game, instead of throwing it like it's a hook shot, if it was like, all right, I'm going to take a couple of steps and fire it up like you would a half-court shot, then I'd be like, okay, this might be believable, even though it's full court. But the throwing it, hook shot, almost like you're throwing it like a baseball, I'm like, I just can't see that happening. I don't think he practices enough for that.
So he was in on it, obviously.
Yeah.
Because he said that's 5 in a row at the end.
Yeah, I think he was in on it.
And then in the midair, they just kind of edited that ball to
falling every time.
I only watched the first rep of it. I did the same thing, Jason.
Was he throwing a real ball, you think? Or was that all computer?
I think it was all
See,
CGI.
here's the deal. When you say it's fake, you got to tell me how.
Yeah.
You got to tell me how.
Technology.
I'll look into it.
More
but-
specific than
Beards,
that.
what was your best?
My best was the New York Jets arrived in their game against the Vikings this weekend. They were all wearing Mighty Ducks jerseys.
Nice.
And it was Braxton Berrios wore a Hawks jersey walking up. So if you know Mighty Ducks, you know what that means. He's the bad guy.
Yeah, he is the Hawks. That sucks. My best from the weekend is Chris Kleiman getting it done, man. In 4 years, they would have, and I loved his reaction after the game on the field when they were interviewing. He's like, it couldn't even really answer. We just won the Big 12. We just won the Big 12. We won the Big 12. That's awesome. And it's like, well, no, I'm asking you questions about like what happened. We just won the Big 12. Shut up. We just won the like he was so like in disbelief himself that it took place. So that was my best of like so often coaches are like, yeah, this is what we set out to do, and we reached our goal, and I'm buttoned up, and I didn't even like getting hit with the Gatorade bat. That's ridiculous. And you know what? We're just going to get back to the grind. We got Alabama next, or we got the Sugar Bowl next. We got to worry about, and this is a great. He was like a kid, like we just won the Big 12. I thought that was great. I thought that was my best from the weekend. All right, Josh. Your best.
Beards, we have time for 2 minutes of audio.
I mean,
he's so annoyed.
Not really.
That's what I thought. Okay, I can play. I can do it next. I can wait. It is 2 minutes of hard to edit down audio because this is Haven Wolf. She does some work in the sports world in Cincinnati, but here she is known as well. This is actually before Chiefs Bengals. I think it was actually before even Titans Bengals. Was
I
it?
hear this now.
I do too.
This is Hayden Wolf. Shout out to Justin Jones on Twitter for sending it in. After getting her wisdom teeth removed, she had a whole lot of things to say about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
We'll hear that next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I felt like stuff exploded inside of me.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, so let's hear these 2 minutes of fantastic audio, Josh. This is your best. Want to set it up again? Very quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly set it up. Go.
Haven Wolf in Cincinnati got her wisdom teeth removed and then recorded. She had a lot of things to say about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Before the Chiefs game and before
the Titans game, I think.
Burrow's jersey came
for anyone because I didn't think I should.
Oh, I wouldn't want you to get that one messy. What's wrong, sis?
I know he's got a girlfriend. And I'm happy for him. But I'm not happy for me in that situation.
You love Joe Burrow, don't you?
He's pretty, but dang it, he's talented. And let's be honest, I go for ambition, not look. We play the Titans on Sunday. Jamar Chase isn't even a sure thing, and I miss him. But then, even if we get past that one, well, then we got the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and he's so good, and everyone knows it. And he makes those Subway commercials. Mom, I don't want to lose to the Browns. Joe Burrow's never beaten the Browns, and they're historically the worst franchise in NFL history. I mean, my god dang hero can't beat the Browns, Mom. He's the running back. We got dang Joe Mixon, who's got a dang concussion. I don't know if he can even play on Sunday.
Sissy, do you think Jamar will be back on Sunday?
They said they were going to let him practice, but that doesn't mean he's going to play. And should he play? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I never have been.
It's fake. Fake.
Amazing.
Dousing your dreams.
It's real.
Hey, Sorrent Petro here. When you need brilliant...